surrounded by Cloud9. There is nowhere else for them to go. This is basically the kitchen scene from Jurassic Park.
What do you think they're talking about?
Waiting for Cloud9 to leave. Oh, the door does open. They try and make the rush out with the blue.
K-Mind lining up the SKS. Can't land any shots, but the blue's there and is doing lots of damage. You can see the chunking now happening. K-Mind lost the little opportunity he had and has to rejoin his squad, who are on foot running up the hill to try and make the next zone. But who's going to be waiting for them? It's Envy in buildings. They've also got Pat Caps and Venerated looking to line up some shots. And this is going to be a big title matchup between two heavyweight squads with a little bit of simplicity, as you said, sprinkled on top.
Yeah, actually, if Cloud9, if they don't limit their angles, they could put themselves in a position to get third-partied by Simplicity.
Lots of fighting happening inside the military base as Accelerate Gaming, or just Accelerate, excuse me, comes all the way in. The nade follow-up from Drassel looking to fish with Dynamite. There it is, very quickly eliminated. Drassel picks up another kill, and Moody takes down Nerf. Otherwise, it's a fight on the top of the zone, as Envy has got very nice position here, Cam.
Yeah, go secure the shots, and they want to third-party this, but unfortunately the hill is blocking the vision. But Venerated, his vision's not blocked at all. Missed a couple of shots, but he's redirecting himself. Gets a couple of shots, gets it down.
Looking really nice here for Envy. That's too quick onto C9. The mini working now for Venerated. Just pop, pop, pop. Looking for another kill, and there they go. And just like that, Envy cleans up Cloud9.
A good hold. You saw all the angles that they had. There was no way or any of those players on the east side for Cloud9 could completely limit themselves from being shot at by Envy. Question is, does Envy know that Simplicity have two members left pushing up from their north? They're backing off, but continue to look that direction, so they're at least playing it safe, whether they have the hard information or not. But in the meantime, Penta and Lobes, they're playing it safe themselves, going on the low end, blocking as much vision as possible. They just want to sneak in and then try and find small little crumbs in the end game.
I don't believe Simplicity is collecting their placement points right now. United in a similar position, but Lazarus, they've got 8 points, and now Moody looking down towards where Lobes is. This is an interesting matchup, Lobes versus Moody, the battle of the ex-Cloud9 players. There's one quick spot and a quick spray onto Penta.
The nade comes out, the nade came out!
Lobes, he's got to be, oh no, there it is! Penta takes down Moody, and Interrogate as well actually is down by Lobes, and just like that, Envy's losing players. Tempo Storm feeling opportunistic, they come in and steal one on Interrogate, but quickly Simplicity eliminated by Pat Caps, who puts a bullet point on it. And now for E United, they're trying to make their way into the military base. Cameron, this is going to be a hard entry.
Ooh. Uncivil is actually able to sneak his way through the barrels because got E United right behind him, but they're running in as well. There are a lot of ways to limit vision, but not a lot of ways to check your corners. Uncivil, if he gets double sprayed on, he spots one, spots the second.
Oh! He was waiting to see how many other players there were. He has no idea who it is, but Uncivil gets taken down very quickly by Pistola Time, and that's going to be a leapfrog position. E United moves further into this game. Tempo Storm, the Calm, and the Collected, they are 4 strong. They're in the zone, and they've got that level 3 gear. Meanwhile, the last 2 surviving members of Envy, I believe Venerate is there as well, so only 1 down in Interrogate, as Envy picked up some kills and are now making position on the northern side. They've got lots of time and space. Endemic still center zone in the barracks.
Yeah, Envy have a dip that they are playing in, as you see on basically top left of your screen. And there's nothing for them to do right now until wait for the next circle. They can isolate their fights right now, and there's actually nothing going to be coming towards them because literally everyone else is inside the actual military base itself. So they just need to wait for the next circle and see what they can do with it, if they want to actually hold the center if they get it, or if they want to just try and third party, which may be the more likely scenario, try and find more kills. In the meantime, though, E United peeking around, see if they can't catch any more solo snakes, solo players out. We are looking at the top 5 teams, so placement points are going to start to actually rack up and be important.
Absolutely, and now for Envy, Cameron, they have the vision, but coming down that hill, especially if the circle shifts south, is going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
Luckily, it's only Endemic with 2 players watching them, but Tempo Storm, they are well aware of where they are as well. So now, again, Envy, they've got great vision, but what can they do with it?
Ooh, they got to land the shots on Tempo Storm. I don't know if Endemic are going to be so proactive trying to keep them out because they've been really wounded by Ghost and other teams previously in the round. They only have 2 left, and their meds may be pretty low.
Endemic has got to be feeling the pinch on definitely both armor and meds. However, they've been in a loot area for a little while. It was only Accelerate who started the game down here. United, they're playing 100% tactical here. They're just in the crates.
Yeah.
They're scanning. They're slicing the pie. They're looking for enemies, and he snakes around. And for Ghost Gaming, they've re-entered the barracks as well. They've got the hard cover. Drassel has been doing a good job of just being that X factor. He's landed a couple of kills. Balak leading the way, and now they're getting closer and closer to Vision on United. United making their way now, Cam.
They make the cross. They don't seem to be spotted, or at least no one's shooting at them. But Venerated and shooting back onto Tempo Storm. The circle does do a little soft shift towards the west side. And actually, Moody makes a nice just dive to get into the front line.
He has to move down the hill. Again, the circle is going to be shifting away from their high ground. As now Tempo Storm is going to try and capitalize. A lot of vision going that way. They've got the radio tower to work with, but there's a wall, so many fences. This is a difficult area to fight in, believe me. There's so many fences, so many bars in the way. And finding those angles, wow, Tempo, that's Zampa landing a quick little headshot on the Moody. And here comes Venerated, the last remaining squad mate. And the spray comes in from Dre, and now it's Envy versus Tempo. The nade lines up, it goes across. Will it be good? Dre's going to land one, maybe, a little short, lands at the tree. But for Venerated and the rest of Envy, they have to wonder now how many windows are looking our way. They have to sit prone. Not a lot of ways to throw grenades back, and they're getting closer and closer.
This is a really nice dip that Envy are playing in, though, and it's relatively center. So as long as they can dodge these grenades that Tempo Storm seem to have still loads of them left in their pockets.
Absolutely, and they've got the smoke screen down to get even closer to land those nades. Pat Caps is playing dodge the red zone right now. Someone pressed the red button, and it's Tempo Storm. They've even got a crate to use as cover. This is 100%. This is a nice play here from Tempo Storm, but no pay dirt yet. That's so much utility coming out of these guys. Still 2 grenades left on Sharky. I guess he's going to save 2 out of the 10 he has.
They do get one player up on the high ground, up on top of Big Red. It's a risky move to come back down from that, but that's put one, but Sharky knocks Pat Caps in the follow-up to potentially finish.
Nade meta, by the way, as continual red zone wrath. I can only imagine what Moody's saying on the voice comms right now, and there's Zampa. He's got the high ground. It's only Moody left, and Tempo is running an absolute clinic here, and Envy just cannot keep up as Venerated is finished, and Moody has got to be feeling the heat now.
The nades keep them pinned. Zampa finds the angle. It is just Moody remaining. No down teammates to revive. So he's going to have to see if he can survive as long as possible. But more nades come in. McCoy finds Geist.
The quick follow-up. Sharky's going to get Pistola time down. Tempo picking up kill after kill. Zampa being chased off by Moody, who will not go quietly. And Zampa, while going up on that limb, Moody has actually got the circle. And now that southern side with both Ghost and Endemic is going to have to sort itself out. This is where Ghost sometimes gets into trouble. What's their move, Cam?
He's got to push into Endemic. They have the man advantage. They also got to make sure that they don't get taken out in third party by Zampa. Still on the high ground, but he doesn't want to stick up there because he's going to have to move sooner rather than later. In 20 seconds is when the circle is going to close and his angle is going to be cut off. And so maybe pushing, maybe not necessarily right into the building, but I mean, Endemic is just an X factor here, and you can see the hesitation from Ghost. They're waiting for the circle to close. They have to also make sure that no one's sneaking in behind them. Tempo Storm, however, they've got the radio tower and only Moody to deal with, and right up into that point where Moody's blown off the face of the earth with Sharky's last grenade. And wow, Tempo has been playing this other side so well, and now they just have to wait and see who survives on the other side. I don't know if they just found that nade or if they intentionally let Moody think that they were out before the last one kind of came in. But
I mean, when you throw 45 grenades at a team, what's one more?
Basically. But no, it looks like Ghosts are actually able to put themselves in the barracks building at the same time that Endemic have rotated away onto the northern one. So Endemic actually not trying to hold Ghost out, it seems.
Now it's a bit of a waiting game, Cam, as Tempo Storm is just basically waiting for a headshot as Balak comes out and says, Maluk, sit. And follow it up. He might have broken a helmet there, and aside from the flashiness, I don't think Balak's going to be able to pick up that point, but Maluk has just got to be going, well, damn.
No, there's too much cover through that angle, but a headshot's a headshot, damage is damage. The point is, Ghosts don't want to push on this because the circle's just about to close. It could be an overextension if they do so, but the circle's going to go dead center, and they're going to need to find these frags again.
No actual points for damage, but you definitely get some cool points, and Balak is no stranger to cool points, as for now, it looks like Dre and the rest of Tempo, they just have to wait. This is actually the last zone, Cameron. We've got 2.5 minutes as the circle slowly closes, and they just have to stay strong. But what does Endemic do? They've got 0 kills. They've got great placement, but here comes even more grenades as they're just trying to avoid that red zone. But Ghost has to come in sneakily behind, and man, this is a time game now.
Zampa actually stayed up on the high ground. I thought he was going to leave and go back to the low ground with his teammates, but they have 4 up. They have a huge man advantage right now. And so what's one player who gets trapped up there? If his angle can open up the game for the rest of his teammates to finish the game off, it is a worthy sacrifice. And he's lying in wait, waiting for the call out from his teammates before he pounces. He doesn't want to let Endemic or Ghost know that he is lying up there.
You nailed it, Cameron. They're just waiting for the call for Zampa to pop up and rake havoc down. But speaking of which, Crispier, the smoke is dissipating. He's got a direct line of sight. He's got a perfect angle, and he's trying to spray down, but he doesn't get anything from it. The turn, and there goes Endemic. One foul swoop, and now Ghost is going to take their place. It's Tempo Storm. They've got their hands across the throat of this game, and the spray down comes Zampa again up top. It's only Balak left, and this looks like Tempo Storm has this thing sewn up. One more shot left to go. Balak's got the zone in his back, and Zampa is just raining hellfire from above, and Dre will clean it up, and Tempo takes game number 1.
And a good number of kills as well. I believe it was up to 14 or 15 by the end.
An amazing performance there from Tempo. Again, I gotta say, that play from Zampa up above, that was an absolute dominating play.
I was worried that Tempo weren't going to be getting too much out of this game because early on, even through the mid-game, they had maybe 3 or 4 kills after the finish onto player 1, but they do clean it up in the end. They get it when it counts, and they get the game. Endemic, though, a good utility usage to get up into a position to potentially steal that away, but aren't able to execute correctly.
I gotta say that, again, this was a game of the circle kind of dictating the pace. So many teams bet on the circle coming back to the main. Well, maybe not bet on it, but they kind of shaded to maybe it might come back our way, and that caused so much havoc in the early game, something we've been seeing time and time again with these military circles.
Shout out to Lazarus, though. They weren't able to get across to the military base reliably, and so they actually pivoted their game plan perfectly in a situation like that.
And for Lazarus, they do pick up, I think that was like 8 or 9 points.
9 kills.
I don't know if they managed to stay long enough to get into the placement points. I think on Civil maybe got maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But again, it's points per game. Just extracting what you can out of these rounds is so important. And for Lazarus, they seem to be very consistent at doing that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the name of the game. But also, Pecadores, it was a rough game for them, but it was definitely better than their Erangel games leading up to this. Sure, they got in a rough situation. They ran into Cloud9, then Simplicity joined in, then Envy a little bit, and then they ran into Lazarus. But the game plan that they had going into it wasn't a faulty one. It was just a little bit of execution problems on their end. So this is definitely a better-looking team than what we saw last phase.
I gotta say, with Player One Esports and Envy, that battle on the northern side, Envy actually did a great job coming across early. It just did. I mean, that last little push they had was so difficult to make, and they weathered an absolute storm. Another situation where they have a little bit better of a hard cover. I think Envy has a path to win that game.
That's the problem with trying to play safe and play for the late game, because those kills don't reliably come to you. They got the finish on the Cloud9, but then after that, they were in too rough of a spot to reliably get more points. I think they're maybe ending this game with like 8 to 9 points total with kills plus placement.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Which is not bad.
I mean, it was really called Tempo Storm all through the end game, and we have Rachel standing by with our winners at game number 1.
Thank you, guys. I'm down here with Zampa, and talking about my daily Tempo Storm win. This is pretty usual after Phase 1. I see we're starting Phase 2 off the same way.
Yeah, we were having a rough spot during the first day, and then we starting to close it out again. So it feels really good to go back to our play style.
Oh yeah, you guys made a lot of great decisions here. Ending up with you at that beautiful high ground, shooting right down on the Ghost. How did you end up there?
Ghost was tunneled on me pretty hard, but I was able to get up top and just lay prone the whole time. Sharky asked if there was a guy up top, and I said, no, just me. So.
Well, you took some beautiful nades to get into that position. Now, we saw you nading on Envy there. You knew they had one guy left. Were you actually this is a call from the casters, were you deciding to play off how many nades you had? Were you holding one close to the chest, hoping to get some movement out of Envy before you tossed it?
I think I was throwing my nades until they got closer because it was 2 max range. So I waited, and then eventually we got a knock and we naded off of it.
What's your overall Tempo Storm philosophy on grenades right now?
They're a little bit too strong. They're high quantity, so they need to be turned down a little bit.
Well, you guys are working great with them. We really thought that was a great position for Envy. You managed to push them in, clear them right out. This has been a Tempo Storm tradition, great rotations. How do you execute these again and again?
We saw that some parts of the beach were clear. We beached, and then we went in, got cars, and then we fought everyone.
Excellent communication. You guys stay together, and you can execute in battle. We love watching Tempo Storm play, and you guys are going to get to watch a lot more PUBG right after we break down this game at the desk.
Got something for you.
You got something for me?
Oh. Welcome back to the desk, guys.
What's going on down there?
Well, I know, a lot of fun. We don't get to watch.
Surprise, it's a grenade.
Oh, surprise, it's a grenade. They had enough. It's a short break, guys. We are going to get everyone into the game right away. So this is just a couple of minutes for us to check in on the scoreboard, get some quick takes, and move on from there. Let's actually do that. Scoreboard right now, boys. What do you see?
I mean, obviously, Tempo Storm, 13 kills, 23 points. That's huge. I find it kind of funny, though, Tempo Storm with the grenade. There's been a little banter going back and forth between Tempo and one Lazarus Gaming about who uses the most grenades. And Tempo, you know, look, hey, anything you have to do to get that W, you got to do. So great performance coming out of them.
Also note, Lazarus Gaming went out real early, down to just Uncivil, who was just having to survive through that bridge. Got so many kills, and they got about 6th place, I believe, inside that round. Pushes them up into 10 points for that round.
Yeah, when you say they went out early, we mean the 3 players on the bridge. If they had all died, it would have been 14th place. They got a ton of kills, and then they used the old snake play and got themselves all the way up to a 3rd place finish without the grenades that Tempo Storm relied on. Though that false red zone was intense.
You were just freaking out about that reposition from Zampa. I wish that
I loved it.
I should have recorded that. You were just giddy up here talking.
Well, because that spot is in you can't play it in pubs. It's too open unless the circle's closing on it because no one can see up there. And Zampa crawled all the way in. It was an unbreakable spot once he took that high pitch.
Extremely gutsy play.
Yes.
Extremely gutsy play. But that's Tempo in a nutshell there. When you have the confidence, that's the kind of play you can go for.
You know what stood out to me? It looked like they were having fun, and that's when Tempo's best. Let's take a look at the overall. We talk about Tempo best. Number 1.
Who would have thought?
27 kills right now with 48 points. Back behind that, you can see it's a lot of our kill leaders just racking up the leaderboard right now.
All right, we're getting ready to move to game 2. Gentlemen, give me your quick takes, your thoughts, your takeaway from 1 going into 2. Matcham?
All right, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Accelerate Gaming, I really, really like what they're doing. They're trying to make some crazy plays. It hasn't turned up big yet, but I'm keeping an eye on them.
Erangel has been absolute torture so far for a lot of these teams, so I'm interested to see how many of them try to make Miramar their comeback run.
Absolutely. I mean, we know teams like Lazarus can do very well at Miramar, but they're by the way, I'm impressed with how much they've improved on Orangle since the Basic Championships. Even Phase 1, I think they were averaging 2 points per game. Featured teams for the final push. Talk me through these, Poro.
There you go. SSG, Ghost Gaming, Tempo Storm, and Lazarus. A couple of these with completely new rosters, 2 with completely old rosters, and some of them doing a lot better than others. We're going to have to see what Ghost can manage to pull together here on Miramar after a great performance so far in Game 1.
We've got to do our Week 1 reminder for everybody that, yes, Lazarus was Shoot to Kill. Space Station Gaming was Why Tim's Fate. So a little bit of a change up there. So if you're curious on why you're looking through this, that's how it's breaking down. Tempo Storm and Ghost Gaming, you know those guys.
Yeah, but I mean, things change, right? SDK becomes Lazarus, Ghost Gaming stops being on the bottom of the bracket. Things have improved here at Phase 2. Well, let's be honest.
True.
They had a really bad, I'm going to say straight up bad start and mid-season last time, and they're doing 100 times better right now. So in that loop, let's take this real quick. Tell me which teams have been underperforming, and what do you want to see out of them as they go forward today?
Underperforming teams. I'm going to have to go with, let me do a quick look down on here.
What about your favorite team?
Well, I already said Accelerate Gaming. They have their push through there.
But what do they
I'm
need
going
to
to go
do?
ahead and say that Ghost Gaming, I want to see a little bit cleaner of rotations come into play, and I want to see them just activate a little bit more. They spend a lot of time watching this. We saw some nice sniper shots off that, and then just couldn't execute to follow it up.
Fair.
Honestly, I want to see Denial do a little bit better. They came in, they won our first game in dominant fashion, and it's kind of tapered off since then. We haven't really seen them produce much. The last game, they got caught in a really rough rotation, ended up dying. Last player dying to a blue. 3 of them went out to a car spray from Lazarus. So just little mistakes that need to be picked up here and there, but I think we'll see them turn it around.
And again, tough start to the day, right? I mean, it's very similar to what we saw yesterday with a very crazy first circle that took people to military unexpectedly, and yet again, here we are on military. I mean, there were periods in time in PUBG where you go 80 games without seeing military, and now we were at 2 of 3.
Yeah,
that's
just been a running theme, even just through the Classic. They were just all over the place.
I mean, that's what we're talking about. I mean, Orangel has just been an absolute nightmare. So far, these southern circles for Miramar haven't been proving to be much better. So we'll have to see what happens here as we go into this first game on Miramar to see if maybe we get something a little bit more favorable.
That's kind of evil. We were seeing a lot of the teams in North America start making their way down towards the south on Miramar. I want to see a northern circle just to mess with them a little bit.
Let's talk about a few of the team stats. Tempo Storm, E United, side by side, first and fourth right now. A lot of kill counts, good total points. 5 plus seems like I think that's where we're setting the standard right now if you want to keep your averages up.
I just want to take a moment and look at the Tempo Storm picture. Half of their players are at least smiling, and the other two, one of them is kind of smiling, and then there's Maluk still with the dead stare.
And Maluk is a killer. He is a fragger. He is here about one thing, and that is to get that first place. He's now gotten it back for his squad. How can they hold it?
He's a leader. He's a thinker. The only thing that thinks deeper than him is the dimple in his chin. Stands out. A great player. On the opposite side, E United. Stab looks happy to be here. He sounds excited to be a part of the roster, and it's starting to feel like maybe he was the missing piece.
United did some great work in that first game, getting from their normal drop location of around prison, having to fight through all the teams that were ending up around the bridge area. They managed to get over. They and only ended up getting 2, but those 2 managed to do a lot of work there at the end to get them up and kind of keep them at least floating in that top 2 position right now.
Yeah, when they picked up Stab, I actually thought they were going to go for J-Sank, and I chatted with the team a little about who they were going for, and they said, we really like Stab. We want to go with him. I was skeptical. He's sort of been on so many different teams, but he seems to be really thriving now.
Oh, without a doubt. I can't wait to see how this roster just continues to form, especially whenever we see bolt actions so big.
Awesome. Speaking of bolt actions, let's head to the map made for some bolt action. It's time for Game 2 here at NPL Day 2. Let's send it to our casters, WTF Moses and Cammy D.
Thank you so much, Toffees. And I got to say, you're really carrying that desk, almost like that milk crate is carrying Matchroom, as we have Space Station Gaming looking to turn it around, after a pretty rough first game.
Yeah, it showed the stats for damage and kills for Space Station, and I know that we're trying to remind everyone that this is old Y10 Fate, but those numbers are looking like Space Station from last phase.
I gotta say, well, you know what? Shout out to Ghost. I mean, Shrimsy taking shots on Twitter and landing shots in game. Gotta say, it's been a really good first game for them. That push through the military base, that was a nice play from them.
It was. He actually has a higher hit register in game than out of game.
Shoot for the stars, Shrimsy. I appreciate it. But I gotta say, man, Accelerate Gaming, they are making some bold plays, as Moro said, but they have not had any bold results.
So they were, along with Player One of the 2 teams from contenders that I liked the style of play that they were bringing in, using the super. I don't want to say format because that's redundant. But trying to change the meta. But they're in last place, and this is also after Arendelle games landing on military. Well, kind of landing on military. The first one didn't really, but still being very military-esque, and they're in last place. So something's got to change.
It seems to happen a lot that teams that are on military that wind up getting the circle don't get the advantage. I've seen it time and time again. I think it's when all these teams start crashing onto you, it's hard to defend.
Like, they're so used to not having to worry about anyone else on that island.
Fair enough.
Like, oh god, we got friends here, what do we do?
Yeah,
I can't just run over open field.
It's difficult to manage, but you know what? You don't have to worry about it so much. Well, I guess you can. There's a much smaller island on Miramar as we see the plane in the air. We're moving right to left, bottom to about the middle. But for now, it's going to be Tempo Storm jumping out nice and early. This has been kind of the game, the map, I should say, for Lazarus. So what do we expect to see for Lazarus to go from getting kills in the blue to maybe securing a victory?
You can criticize them getting kills in the blue, but they got 10 total points. That is that's higher than Tempo Storm's average, and you remember how they stomped phase 1. So honestly, it may not have been their perfect game, but they played last game very, very well. If they're gonna go out in 6 every single time at 9 kills, that's a perfect game plan.
You know what? I think in talking to Lazarus and just their team mentality is that, second is great at Face It. 3rd, 4th place, NPL, not too bad. But this is a team that only has one goal in mind, like so many other players, and that is first place. So minimizing mistakes and maximizing that points per game.
Yeah.
Whatever they need to do to extract success out of every single round, Lazarus is prepared to do so. Looking back now at Denial, they have...
Rumblers.
And the Rumblers as well. They are kind of taking some early shots.
To be honest, I forgot the Rumblers existed because they went out so early last game.
Well, sometimes you try to forget, and in that situation, I think Rumblers are trying to forget the fact that they have, been struggling, and also the fact that the logo is the way it is. But as for Micro Fry and Crow, I don't think it's too much of a battle just yet, as Crow is just more interested in getting that information. But let's talk about this first circle, Cameron. We're going a little bit north here.
Yeah, quite northwest, and off that plane route, it's going to be a lot of rotations There's a lot of open space already, but this is a good chance for Space Station Gaming because they're looting up an El Pozo. It's a good opportunity for them to get a center circle position or gatekeep teams out and try and get early kills.
It's difficult too. I mean, we talked about this with Accelerate Military Base. With Pozo and a city like that, you can't really just sit still and wait.
Yeah.
Maybe finding a split that's advantageous. I would say probably on the southern side, maybe a little bit further to the east, because we have so much of the circle being eliminated by that western side. And here comes Baja, speaking of which, he's got that bolt action rifle he's so proficient with.
There is that ridge you can actually see right past Baja on the eastern side of El Pozo. If they want to hold and get a high ground position and use those bolt actions to get some knocks and then follow up with either an AR or a DMR to flush that kill and get those early points as well as create space for themselves. Wait, who's Caden staring at?
He's just looking around. He's got his red dot, maybe waiting for his teammates to come pick him up. But
no, that's a player.
Oh, it's Tetra.
That's Tetra.
Looking at, yeah, maybe spotted him from a distance. No helmet yet on Tetra. You know, I got to say, one thing that I, in my very limited experience, I stood in for Purdy and scrims. These early games go so quickly. You have no idea how fast that 5-6 minutes goes by when you're just looking for the bare essentials. So that's a factor for these guys where you have to find that position. You have to secure it nice and early, but you might be giving up so much utility, whatever. You just pick up whatever you can find. And in the case of Tetra right now, it's the venerable VSS in his disposal.
Hey, don't knock the VSS. If you can use that thing effectively, you can get a lot of work done. But Caden is trying to stalk Tetra, and Tetra is so isolated from the rest of his teammates.
I think I just heard Toppy say, yeah, that's right, but I mean, if that's your backup, Cameron, I don't know if you got a lot of legs to stand on. The VSS, maybe not my first choice in the competitive meta, but hey, it's something.
Just click heads.
Just click on the heads. Easy,
like,
right?
Like 3 or 4 times at the VSS, I think.
Well, you know what? We got to start a team then if it's that easy.
Yeah, no, it's real easy.
What's our team name?
I don't know.
The Contrarians.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, let's do that.
Caden, again, looking to line up a shot here. He's got the mini, the red dot, waiting. Right now, he's got to be waiting for Tetra to come out and away from cover. No sense trying to shoot him now.
Ooh,
it's the classic play. Just wait for him to come on out, see if you can get anything. But the approaching vehicle is going to give Tetra that information that maybe someone's nearby, and there goes Microfi. It's been Crow looking at him to begin with, and Soapylicious getting the down and the finish, as whatever loot he might have had now belongs to them.
Yeah, definitely not a good start once again for the Rumblers. Granted, they still have 3 up, and even though Los is a little close to denial, there's a way for him to get out. But actually, Wildcard, while they're stalking Accelerate, it looks like Hetror may know that Tumai is in this construction building.
This high ground, low ground, such a factor in this area of the map on Miramar. Hetror was unable to see Tumai. And is going to have to back away, just trying to gather whatever information he can. But we've seen Hetror land so many nice shots with that Car 98.
Similar to Accelerate on the Military Island, Wildcard are used to being the only ones on this western side that they've actually given themselves the liberty to completely split off. And so Tumai, if he gets discovered, there's no trade coming in. But your boy Trey getting the lineup on the Blue Martini.
I was wondering what Blue Martini might try and do here, but it looks like it's going to be Tempo setting up the gatekeep and forcing them into the water. Here comes some more shots from Dre, taking those wild shots with the Scar, not able to land. Not a ton of ammo, by the way, with Dre. He's only got 41 bullets left in his reserve, and he's got to be very mindful of running dry on ammo this early in the game as looting becomes so difficult.
The rest of Tempo Storm are going to be following up shortly, so if Dre can keep Blue Martini stuck somehow and not rotate away, they could potentially get a number of kills. Player 1 as well, they're actually in front of Blue Martini. I was expecting them to stop and try and get in on this early game action, but it looks like they're electing to make the decision to get closer to the circle and try and hold them out. That's a more reliable way of getting the early kills without giving up too much positioning.
C9 rotating out of Picado. They've found their way onto the southern side of Pozo. Space Station Gaming looks like they've gone for a pretty wide split on the northern southern side of the city. And this is what we were kind of talking about in the early game, is hanging out inside of Pozo becomes difficult to defend. But at least here you're kind of hedging your bets regardless of which direction the circle decides to go. Sharp shot, the Car 98. This is his time to shine. Can't land the shot just yet, as he's going to back away. That's kind of the thing, Cameron, with the bolt action. It's not obviously not spammable like the Mini. You take your shot and you have to back away, or you're going to get taken down very quickly. Baja has got the M24 at his disposal. And really, do you think the bolt actions are here to stay?
I do. I mean, we've seen people use bolt actions if they're really proficient at it, like Sharp Shot, like Linksy, rest in peace. they can continue to use it, but with these buffed versions especially, we're going to be seeing a lot of them for at least the first couple of weeks of NPL.
Really good call out. For those of you who are unaware, we're currently playing with the buffed bolt action snipers, and that means those body shots, regardless of where you hit, are going to do an absolute ton of damage. Pistola Time making his way south, and there comes the first kill for Accelerate. They are going to pick up Taylor J very early. Pistola Time is going to have to veer away, and anyone who plays PUBG knows driving Miramar, especially in first person, is very difficult, let alone when you're trying to dodge big squads of pro players.
That's why Tetra by Accelerate was up so separated from this team. It was actually surprisingly uneventful split from him because Caden didn't take the shot for some reason, but he was there because they were trying to keep people from rotating in on this western highway. And actually, Los HD, he's gonna get a kill for himself as well on another rotating EU United player.
This is all along the southern side of the circle, and Pistola Time, wow, this is a horrible rotation for poor EU United.
Oh, it's not
only
working.
Down to one. The Rumbler is actually picking up 2 quick kills there and a little bit of loot, as only Geist now left standing, and he's doing his best to drive down and away. He's going 90 miles an hour down the side of a mountain, and he's going to run smack into the remnants of BMG. He's going to come to a quick stop. It's Jason trying to veer past in a 2-seater motorcycle, and he's now going to feed himself right into the Rumblers. Los HD on the top of the mountain, and he's looking over his shoulder. He's like, hopefully no one shoots me in the back. And, looks like he's going to skirt around the Rumblers as well, so that's wise rotations, at least right now, for Jason.
Looking at where Geist was shooting at him, he may have recognized that Geist was actually running away from another team, which is why he did a little more roundabout of a direction onto the road, but he's not out of it yet. Neither is Geist. The angle is still held by the Rumblers, really trying to get this final kill, trying to get up to at least 3, because they're on the edge, and the rest of the game is going to be an unreliable strategy.
This looking to shoot those tires normally on the buggy, trying to force the spin out, but it's not going to land. All they did was just shoot the body a lot, so Geist is still not feeling very good. As the last man from United, he's going to try and make his way anywhere in the circle where he can camp out and pray for some placement.
Look at this. It was a hard shift south to east, and a lot of people were trying to go for center, or they were coming in from the south. So actually the eastern side of the circle is still wide open around San Martin, and even this sort of pocket of hill in the dead center, both sides of it, both sides of that valley, a team could take it. Simplicity is actually in a good position to do so, as well as Space Station Game, but Space Station, they're going to have to fight for it. Here comes Maluk and the rest of Tempo Storm, still out in the blue, playing it very, very slow. They expected the camps to be happening on the south side, but the camps are still there.
The camps are still there. Is no one is really, especially the Rumblers, have not really moved off of that southern side. I imagine that these teams have done their research. They know how Tempo rotates, and they're going to be setting up waiting. But they've already found Geist. They've found a little bit of pay dirt there. But for Tempo Storm, they've taken so much damage from the blue. They're still in their vehicles. They're going to be burning those meds. And for Valiate and Space Station Gaming, they're kind of looking at each other right now. I believe that's Hetro way up on the hilltop. Ghost Gaming doing something similar. We've seen another circle shift. We've centered right up, and now we still have 60 alive, Cameron. This is a lot of players alive this late in the game.
They actually drove out.
Oh!
I appreciate the idea. You cop car style, stop in front of the vehicle, try and get out, but took way too much damage actually from the car collision. And then, well, Sharky had backup in the sidecar, so.
A nice attempt from Los HD to dive out of the convertible, but unfortunately the convertible does most of the damage.
Yeah.
And Tempo Storm will pick up an easy point because of it. And here comes Godspeed. This is the teammate. And now there goes the tires. The spin comes very quickly. Sharky, the laser beam. Godspeed can't get any speed going up the hill. And down he will go. Maluk will get it. Sharky will finish it as Godspeed down and out.
The blue may deal damage, but it doesn't deal enough damage to keep Tempo Storm from trying to get another kill. And they actually find a bike, which will be good for them to try and bomb to the dead center, because they're still on the southern edge.
Tempo is only taking damage from the blue so far, but they're picking up meds where they can. Mostly the fallen bodies of their enemies.
Where's that box?
It's still on the southern side, so Tempo is going to come in. They're going to be finding Denial next, maybe. But for the Rumblers, they are just trying to avoid a 16th place finish here, as is Geist. But again, look at that main circle. So much density, especially on the northern side. Everyone has taken to the ridges in Cameron. This is maybe, again, the snipers playing a big factor here, as everyone wants to find the high ground.
Yeah, you want to get that early damage, and the DMRs as well as the sniper rifles, bolt actions, are really good for spacing and positioning and just pressure around you. Tetra actually using his own DMR to remove tires. Rotations in the early game on Miramar are worse than Airgill because of the distance as well as the terrain you have to travel over. And so doing anything you can to reduce that availability of your teammates can be quite impactful. We're looking at player one right now, potentially staring down the barrel at Blue Martini, who even though they came in from the chaotic south side, are up with at least 3, potentially all 4 still remaining.
And there's
Jason goes down. Okay.
That's Disciple actually hitting that shot from distance. D-Treats, he's got the M24 out as well. And again, just looking for anything here. Disciple coming back again, looking at, I believe that's BMG inside the houses. Looking at this compound, nothing really they can do. Even the knocks, you don't get any points for that. Aguila does go down to Cloudtail, who's been hitting some nice shots, and we will see another shift. That's going to force a lot of the teams onto the northern side to come south. Cam, it's going to be an absolute logjam.
2 hard shifts in the same direction is not a fun game make if you're not the dead center to begin with, and if you are, you still have to move Space Station or themselves just barely inside the circle after moving further east last game. So it's going to be a lot of rotations, a lot of transitions, and a lot of potential early kills for teams that find themselves stuck out of a good position and want to just get as many points as they can.
Absolutely. Now looking at David, he's had a couple of his teammates go down elsewise, but now he's going to have to med as BMG pushing their way. The call is coming now. They've got him lined up and sewn up as Aguila can't help. He's just been rezzed. Shrimsy getting downs onto Penta and the finish as well. The first point, I believe, going to Ghost Gaming. As now for Accelerate, they're just going to try and find a bit of a contain to get around. This is the back line. Cloudtail lands a shot, I believe. Lampalot's going to get the opening down with the grenade, and now the press will come. It's a swarming Player One Esports with Accelerate in the back line, just trying to pick up points any way they can.
Tetra's up close so he can punish this. Cloudtail off in the distance, trying to get as much damage as he can, and Tetra finishes it off. But Player One are on the opposite side. It's a Blue Martini sandwich.
This is not looking good. David taking lots of damage. Carbon will go down, actually get the down rather, as D-Trans will go down as well. And just like that, this whole fight is coming apart very quickly. Player One Esports, all of a sudden, BMG all the way down to 1. Player One Esports goes out first, and Accelerate now is going to try and clean up one more fight. Carbon, he's going to have to try and clutch this.
They got the 3 kills from Player One Esports, but with Carbon the only one left, and actually no first aid kits, only bandages, I can't imagine that he's going to get out of this with anything more than potentially a knock.
3-way fight coming to a close here. Tetra getting nice and close, and there's the spray as Aguila will pick up a point in the exchange, but there goes BMG, and it's going to be Accelerate picking up 4 kills.
Yeah, a rough break for them, but they at least got those 3 points. Build upon that on the next game, but Accelerate 3 up. They did lose Disciple earlier, but they have 4 points. This is a good start for them. They are going to need to continue to push further and further into the circle because they are on the edge, and I think Cloudtail is still out in the blue. Cloud9, they're also out in the blue.
Yeah, I don't know, it looks like they've lost their vehicles, at least a couple of them on foot. H-Win is going to pick up a Bronco, come and pick up Profi as well as Nerf. K-Mine is at the edge of the zone, and Cloudtail is going to, bop Tetra a little bit with the vehicle, but it looks like Envy has picked themselves up a nice center compound. Tempo Storm in a similar position on the southern side. But for Cloud9, they're just looking to make entry, and this circle is likely going to finish moving by the time they get in. And Tetra's gone down actually to finish. Cloudtail goes down to the zone, and United goes out as well. So now it's starting to thin a little bit as we move into another circle shift. Pecadorus quietly on the northern side in the low ground.
Yeah, this is I don't like this by Pecadorus. It's looking very, very phase 1 by this squad of not really doing anything.
I think that comes from the calling of D-Master, who's had, unfortunately, a lot of time in the lobby, or in the death screen, I should say, as there goes Accelerate, Trevor, the last man down, and Wildcard coming in on the northern side, I should say, which is about to be an absolute cluster, as there are, I think, 6 or 7 teams trying to make their way south, and it's only Envy trying to defend, and the old squad mate of Envy is Caden. He's looking with that bolt-action rifle. Meanwhile, Lazarus, some time and space on the eastern side.
Yeah, Lazarus are actually doing very good positional play. They're avoiding where most of the traffic is going to be coming from by looping all the way up on the northeastern side, and they have a lot of space to play with. That gives them the opportunity to spread out as much as they have and try and get as much information as possible.
Now, it's a bit of a waiting game as look at that jumble of teams. The northern side, Simplicities with Ghost, and Wildcard is there as well. Pecadorus is actually going to do the opportunistic move rather, and move south and away from the fighting. They don't want any part of what's about to unfold here. Envy is going to have their work cut out for them, just trying to prevent this. But look at Wildcard, they're getting right into Ghost. Meanwhile, Cherry Poppins is down and out, and here's this 3-way team fight. It's high and low, there's rocks everywhere. Sharpshot is pushing forward, looking to get more kills onto Ghost Gaming. Look at that wide AK spray. Real long distance there, maybe just outside of the operative range of that AK, but Wildcard grouped up looking for more, Cam.
Dressel tried to answer. He got a knock and a flush onto Simplicity, but Wildcard are pressing in onto him. You saw him attempt the grenade, but it's not going to land anything, and he's going to have to back off.
Oh, my
Valga so
God.
separated, but the second nade almost knocks the player wild card, but check shooter, can he follow up on it?
He's the last man standing. He's got to make something happen. Ghost spread out and trying to defend here. Balak looking to deal with Simplicity, and Drassel on the full four-man flank. He goes for it. He gives the position away. The nade follow-up. It has to be a good one. The long prime up and over. Will it land nearby? Just close enough to do damage, but no downs. And now Wildcard is going to try and return the favor, but looks like they're going to go defensive. They want to get away from this unseen ridge. It's a blind push, and that's going to give them time and space, at least for Ghost, to try and recover.
They don't want to commit too heavily into this because they themselves still aren't in the circle, and they likely heard Space Station roll up, so that is yet another squad coming into this engagement. They weren't able to get the knock on the Drassel, and so they're backing off.
It's still a big risk. There are no placement points available just yet. Still 12 teams alive. Hetroar is going to be rezzed by J-Sank. This is just on the inside of the circle. Envy has given up actually a little bit of ground to Space Station Gaming. Simplicity still trying to find their way south, as is Wildcard, and now the press comes on to Envy. So many teams coming their way, and here comes Space Station. They are absolutely sending it into the gods, trying to find any way to get a foothold here, and it looks like they're going to do it. And the vision, Drassel, he's watching from above, Cam.
He can get a lineup, but he's waiting for Balak to come. No, wait, is Balak dead? Balak's gone.
Balak's gone.
Balak's gone. It's just
only
Drassel by
Drassel.
himself. It's only Drassel, and it's for Space Station. So if he lights a player up and can't get the immediate flush, it'll all be for naught.
Okay, and Pecadorus is dead.
All right.
All right,
out of nowhere. Great.
They avoided one fight and got themselves another one, as Drassel is now going to have to fire. The circle closing around him,
No
and
cover.
there's no cover. The smoke's maybe a little late from Drassel, and just going to land inside the zone, or outside the zone, I should say. So for Drassel, he's maybe throwing a bait smoke to try and get a peek. But it doesn't matter, as Valiant says, why don't you take a little seat there, Drassel? I'll see you next game, as he finishes off Ghost Gaming with one nice shot, and there goes Simplicity as well. And just like that, it's going to be a cleanup on the edge of the zone. It's Envy and Wildcard now getting into it.
All right, Venerated also just takes out Interrogate because he's just a wild maniac who's spraying down anyone he can see. But that engagement is a bloody one in Space Station. They are not far from this. They heard it. They see it in the kill feed. So they could press onto this. They want more points. It is not a very good early game for them points-wise, but they're 4 up in a position to get more. But Wildcard do go out to Envy. Actually, I believe it's Baja's final nade to third party this.
I think Envy has taken some shots here, but they are still in the swamp here with Space Station Gaming. They are pressing across, and you know Space Station Gaming has to know that this fight has been ongoing and that Envy is weakened. But Moody says, sit down, Baja, and now Envy's going to go back off the back foot and try and take down Space Station Gaming inside the warehouse. The nade's coming out now, but Intero is going to go down first. That is going to be Valiant getting a shot on Civil, landing some nades onto, actually, Tempo elsewhere. There's so many fights happening on the edges of the zone as everyone's vying for position.
The 4 heavy hitters left in the lobby are fighting each other. The nades coming out from both sides. It's the nade meta in full force. Oh my god.
Well, that's it for Lazarus, unfortunately, as they all sit quiet in front of us, looking at each other, kind of confused as to what might have happened there. And for Valiate now trying to get the magic going once again. The nade comes through the window. The God Complex so difficult to get easy nades into, as they are just trying to get any opener to try and push off, but they still have the zone, Cam.
Yeah, if SSG want to push into that compound, it's not a hard
They can't.
one
They have
to
the
take.
zone. There's no reason for them to push.
Yeah, there's no reason for them to. They could hold Envy out. Envy need to find a couple opening frags, but it looks like they're trying to use a vehicle. This is potentially bait because they're only putting 2 people inside. The spray comes in, doesn't get too much damage, but Space Station, they don't commit too heavily on that spray down because they're still worried about other Envy players, but actually it's going to be Zampa with the third party.
Tempo has cleared out their side of the zone, and they're now moving north looking to sweep, and they're looking to try and steal any kills here. Now Envy's taken a lot of damage. Space Station hasn't had to do too much other than hold their spot. They've still got 4 players up, and they're going to now try and get rid of Tempo Storm. And everyone's fighting over these points that Envy's leaving out on the table, but Envy's not out of this yet. They've got the res as they're back 4 strong. Envy not going to go quietly, but Tempo and Space Station makes for a mean sandwich.
Oh, the damage comes out. Zampa just barely survives, finds protection behind the rock. And actually, I think some third partying is coming in from Denial all the way on the south side.
Well, they're shooting.
They're shooting, but Tempo may be overextending onto this. Let's see what happens with Space Station and Envy if they end up flooding into their crosshairs. But Define legit, trying to get the long-range shots.
This is an absolute bloodbath, a brawl on the northern side. This ship comes in once again and is going to Cloud9, who quietly has the center of the zone. Valiant, again, just trying to get as much damage, as many kills as he can. He's leading the way with 2, but they haven't been able to get finishes. That's been the Space Station Gaming issue right now, and Taro trying to protect on the ridgeline. He's still got Venerated with him. They're back-to-back. The brothers, well, they're not actually brothers, but they're brothers for now.
Brothers in arms.
Brothers in arms, as Maluk has now got Space Station Gaming sewn right into the warehouse. Not a lot of cover in there, and they have a nice ridgeline to work with, and they're going to use the massive effect now as Hetero will go down. Baja takes down Venerated. Envy holding on by a thread.
Tempo Storm doing a lot of damage to Space Station. They're not overcommitting onto this because they have the circle and they know Space Station gonna have to push into them.
Nice.
And that's exactly what Valiant does by himself, potentially as a distraction.
No, he's taking the sight line away, Cam. He comes forward so they can't use the ridge line.
But what is that gonna get them? The rest of his team is stuck behind in the barn.
He's trying his best, man. Like, give him a break. You know, he's trying to make something happen. Space Station Gaming is
Whoa, actually he's pushing up, but they're not aware of him. They must have heard the vehicle.
And that was a nice shot, but now it's Venerated. He's not out yet, and Temple maybe forgot him about it a little bit, as now it's going to be Maluk and Sharky going down and out. I believe Sharky's still in the down state. J-Stank again down for Space Station Gaming, and Envy again barely hanging on, but still trying to make the zone and picking up points.
Oh, Sampa's the only one left on Tempo Storm. This is the overextension that I was worried about. And actually very little damage on the Space Station. They still have 4 up. And so Valiant's flex around the side didn't actually give them anything. It was all Envy.
This is clutch from Venerated and Interrogate. They're pushing right on the Zampa now. Missed the first grenade. He's in the prone position. Tempo Storm had such an advantage. Now they're facing elimination. And they will trade very quickly as Venerated secures another placement and another kill.
Oh, but Space Station are coming up on this as well. They heard the shots, and the revival is able to come out. Envy! Oh, Baja doesn't get the spray down the prone!
There he goes. What a run from Venerated as Space Station Gaming finally frees themselves after an absolute bloodbath on the northern side, and there's still 3 up, but you gotta wonder, Cam, the meds, the armor, what kind of condition are they in?
It can't be great. They should be picking up a couple of meds, but look at Denial wrapping up from the east side, trying to punish us. In the meantime, we see Cloud9 pushing in onto Endemic.
I'm looking now to see Nerf try and get the opening down. I think that, it is Wolf actually already in the down state, and they're pressuring it. Looks like Profi's on the high side, not a lot of cover to work with, and he won't win the trade as Profi goes down to Rello, and now something, he's going to get pushed off, but not before he gets Nerf all the way down. K-Mind in the back line, he's going to try and defend. He's the last man standing once again. Couldn't land any shots, and he's going to have to try and escape now, maybe throwing bait smokes, but he's wide in the open, and nothing happening there. The flushes come out, K-Mind all by himself, and Endemic looking for that long-distance grenade. Well, that looked okay almost. Not quite far enough as K-Mind tries to slink away.
He's using the smoke to run away. He has positioning in the circle, but a heavy man disadvantage. Endemic are able to stay 4 up. Cloud9, not so fortunate, and so he's pushing up north, wants to find some place he can just hide safely.
There's a shack there he can use, I think.
It's a little too hard on the edge, but he does want to separate himself from Endemic because he's afraid Endemic will be pushing heavily onto him, but by doing so, he may be running directly into Space Station Gaming. You can see them looping up from the northeast side. Denial themselves didn't commit on their previous push, and they come back down to the south side, potentially trying to sort of backstab Endemic, who may not be expecting this.
Denial is going to have to make their way into the zone now, and they have a lot of information on their side, but maybe not a lot of vision in their low ground. For Space Station Gaming, they've picked up whatever loot they can find. They've replenished themselves. They're boosted up. They're ready to take whatever fights come their way. Endemic has been in this position before. They have not been having a good time in team fights so far, but they have lots of space to work with as well as the zone. So now it's Space Station Gaming trying to maybe come uphill, but look at this wrap. They're coming in from behind K-Mine. They know there's one more player there, and they have to find him, so they're being so cautious, Cam.
They know that K-Mind is solo, and then he wrapped up north. The fact that they didn't hear any shots means that he is either waiting right up next to them, or there's no one else there. So if they push up as 4, it's going to be an easy land collection for them, but here come the shots. Space Station find out K-Mind, the nade comes out.
Last stand from K-Mind. He's got Endemic coming from behind, and he will get one down onto Valiate. That's going to cause some problems for Space Station Gaming, but Endemic has not pushed over the ridge, so K-Mind's getting more time and space to throw another grenade. He was waiting for the repeat, maybe baiting the res to see if he can get 2 for 1, and Valiate will go down at a nice clutch point from K-Mind.
It's 1 point, but it's something. By yourself, that's all you can hope for. He knows Baja has the angle on him, though. Gonna throw out a smoke, I believe, to help out his teammate on the low ground, but he needs to worry about the push from Denial.
And that's what they're worried about. That's a good call, Cam. They can't look at that both sides at once. With only 2 players left standing, Valiant going down is a big, big problem for Space Station. Denial is now looking very well. They're taking the center of the zone. They're not pushing the action. They're just getting vision. They're getting position. And now for Endemic, they need to make a move. They need to pick up whatever points they can. Another grenade coming from K-Mind. He's picking up point after point here. It's a thorn in their sides, and Space Station Gaming now has only 1 player left to defend.
His teammate's body. K-Mine was still on the rock, and Baja didn't have the angle to put pressure on him, but here comes Endemic. K-Mine's reign of terror does come to a close, and Cloud9 go out in 4th place, but with 3 points. That is more than they had mere moments ago.
Absolutely great. Where maybe he can try and clutch this out. We saw Hetror in this position last season, last split I should say, but he's got to sit still and hope that Denial and Endemic eviscerate each other so we can maybe capitalize.
Maybe 6 points, 3rd place. It's not the worst game, but SSG are shooting for the stars. Their potential has been said to be huge forever, and they're trying to finally capitalize on it.
This is going to be the tail, man. This is basically a 4v4 team fight.
Yeah.
They know where the other team is. It's about now hitting shots. Who is going to be able to do it better than the other? And it looks like, I think Denial is likely going to have the advantage, but look at their utility. Define's got no grenades, no smokes. He's got the meds, but does he have the ability to open up this fight for his squad?
It's a double-edged sword. They are aware that Space Station potentially have a solo up north of them, which means that's an easy point and they won't get backstabbed if you're watching for it, but it also could distract them, and Endemic may actually be able to capitalize on this. A couple of shots do come out onto Fine Legit.
That is kind of a creepy crawl. Oh, there's Baja! He stands up, he takes one
Point,
down,
he gets the
a
push.
quick point, and a quick finish as Define will turn and end the run, and that is going to be a big bonus now for Endemic. Look at that 2-4-9, that is an absolute ripper, as we will see now, will Rello be able to use this thing in the close quarters of Miramar?
Endemic, they should know that it's a 4v3 now. When those 2 kills went to the leaderboard, and Define goes down, it's now a 4v2.
Now it's time to push, and nothing happening on the low side flank. Actually, here comes Wolf. He's running right at the remnants of Denial. They're going to maybe go for a quick res here, but here come the grenades right over top. It's going to land a little bit short, maybe, skipping one over the top of the ridge line, and Crow's going to stand up, and he's going to get one down. Rello, that's the M249 out of the game, and the trade will come. Wolf is down, however, as well. It is a 2v1 situation, and now they've got the line, something looking to secure the first victory now, and the nades come out looking for anything, and it will be Endemic securing game number 2.
A little bit of a slow push at the end there. Denial could have been able to solidify something, but they do get the shots in the end. Endemic able to get a nice victory with 8 kills. A bit low if you're asking me, but a win's a win.
A win is a win. That is going to be points in the bucket for Endemic. They had a slow first day. This has got to be a huge relief for them. It's a bit of a change up in the squad. They've got a new coach, they've got a new player, and they've got their first win.
Yeah, definitely a good start for them. But Endemic, this wouldn't be the first time that they get a win in the early days and then fail to amount to anything else in the rest of the phase.
Oh my God, Cameron!
I'm just pointing at history. All I'm saying, historically, this wouldn't be the first time, so I'm wanting these guys to grab onto that and just keep pushing forward.
You are no longer invited to Wolf's birthday party. I want you to know that. I can say that on their behalf. We go to Chuck E. Cheese every year, and it's a really fun time. If anyone wants to come, just hit me up on Twitter. Anyways, what a fun game number 2. I think that northern side, that bloodbath of a fight between Space Station Gaming, Envy, all those squads. I mean, even Pecadores, well, it wasn't really it was a bloodbath, but they were mostly the blood in that situation.
Yeah, but also just the southern side, that's peak example of one of the things that they don't often talk about Miramar. Is one reason why rotations are so rough is because if you want to avoid the terrain, you go into the choke points of the highways, and you saw how many traps were set on the southern side.
And who survived? I think it was Tempo.
Because they came in so late. That's the only reason they survived.
Well, it's a rough rotation on that southern side, and even so in the center of the zone, Cameron. Anyone stand out to you? Maybe, I think Cloud9, K-Mind, what an effort from him.
Yeah, he definitely, as you said, squeezed all the points out, almost like he's squeezing orange juice at the very end. They were able to get...
Was that the orange juice?
This is the orange, yeah.
That's the orange juice motion.
Yeah,
Okay,
squeezing oranges. I do it with my fist because I'm a masculine, manly man.
Anyways, K-Mind.
Anyway, K-Mind. I think more than just showed the dominance of nades right now in the current meta. They deal so much damage, the radius is so wide, and you can just store up tons of them in your back pocket.
And I mean, the ability to just basically pick apart Space Station, who had really the advantage there. All they needed to do was either commit or back away, and they just couldn't make the decision, and they lost 2 players essentially for free.
In their defense, Space Station were coming in off of a rough fight, and so they didn't have a lot of information onto the center of the circle after they finally dealt with Tempo Storm and Envy. So for them to be a little concerned and a little conservative is not a bad idea, but it was that conservative play that didn't allow them to get those sightlines onto K-Mind.
And honestly, it was all endemic in the end game, who are standing by with Rachel for their first victory.
Telling them, like, listen, we gotta do this, we gotta do that.
You caught us in the middle of our conversation, guys. We're talking about how great Endemic has been doing today, and you were telling me that really came into play with your way to you made great with a tough rotation. How did that play out for you in this match?
Yeah, I thought that game was going to be a lot harder because of the way the circle shifted. We were on the edge on the west in a compound, and yeah, we agreed that we needed to take the south position and risk ourselves getting wiped so that we could have a better game. And from there, we just went on foot, slow. We played it slow, and yeah, we're getting into our own game now, so it's a good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming in from the north there, you encountered a couple different teams that were giving you a bit of trouble. Now, tell me what it was like going up against Denial there with that extra guy from Space Station Gaming in the mix.
Yeah, going up against Denial is always scary when Shuru's alive. Shuru's an amazing fragger. I'm sure everyone knows by now. But yeah, we played it slow. Samfang with the SLR saved us big time there. He hit some nutty shots. I didn't really do much in that end fight, but I was trying to regroup my team. So yeah, luckily it worked out, and we got the chicken dinner.
Well, we're talking about factors that changed to make you guys feel so confident coming into the matches today. And part of that is a new teammate. You got Rello on the team, and part of that is your new coach, Nomi. How is Nomi affecting the play?
Yeah, Nomi's a really good coach. He puts in a lot of work, breaks down all the stats. He has like a whole spreadsheet. I've never seen anything like it before. The guy puts in more work than me as a player. So yeah, he's been really good so far. Relo, always a great fragger, really good close range player. Best mini in the game, I'd say. Maybe not, but you know, I gotta say that. But
and
yeah.
you guys are all getting together, you're working out, you don't have any conflicts on the team?
Yeah, even after yesterday, we knew like it's gonna get better. We're not gonna get those same Miramar circles, and it just now just proves it. So yeah.
Well, you seem happy with your success. I'm happy for you guys. Let's keep this momentum going because we've only done 2 games so far today, and after this break, we've got a bunch more.
What's going on? What? What is that? Dude, do it again. We play for Lazarus. We play as best as we can and win. We're Ghost Gamer. Turn around. See you in containers. Let's go!
Now turn right 45 degrees.
Bro, too much. Yep. We're Pecadoras, and this is awkward because I don't know what to say right now. I love you. We're diving into the circle. Oh. We're dropping to the circle. We're hot dropping to the circle. What is it? It was hot dropping.
I'm Rello. I'm Wolf. I'm something. I'm Crispia. And we're endemic. A little bit more right. Another step. A little bit more right. A little bit more right. And one straight. One straight. Straight. Yeah, straight. Right. Right. Two more straight. Straight. Yeah. All right. There you go. You got it. I'm Bob Walker. What's up, guys? I'm Jason. Okay. All right. What's up, guys? I'm Valiant, and we're Space Station Gaming.
Car 98.
Hey, I'm Pistol at time. I'm Geist. I'm Taylor J. I'm Steph. And we're United. 1, 2, 3, United!
square first aid. Do it one more time. Yeah, I lost. Maybe lost Leandis? Or... I'm UE David X. I'm Lamblot. I'm Aguila. And I'm Nitreats. And we're playing One Esports. Yo, what's up? We're Long Try Game. I'm Brian. I'm Sharpshot. I'm Kate. And I'm Tulai. Alright, okay, wait, what?
Hey guys, we're Team Envy, and my name is Interrogate.
I'm Moody. I'm Venerated. And I'm Pack Apps.
20 seconds. Go,
A little left, a little left.
Behind the left.
Yeah. No.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Go.
We're the Rumblers. My name is Godspeed. Yeah, what's up? It's Los ID. I'm Aldo. And it's Microfry. I've got multiple things. It's a bolt rifle. It's a K9 and 24. I don't know.
Now Esports. I'm Sharu. I'm Define Legit.
I'm so delicious, and I'm Pro. I'm K-Mine.
Hey guys, it's Robbie, Cloud9.
I'm H1.
I'm Nerf.
Wait, oh my god, is this K-Mine?
Hey guys, I'm Hypok. I'm the new face and host of NPL Contenders. Make sure if you want to watch teams like Crew and Elevate battle it out this season, join me and my co-host Degon on Tuesdays at 5 PM. Hope to see you there.
Cloud9 has replaced Lowe's with Twin, who was previously with Space Station Gaming, but Space Station Gaming is now known as Pecadores. Pecadores picked up Voxic from the PEL. The old Y-Temp Fate now play under the mantle of Space Station Gaming and have added J-Sank to their roster. Oxymoron has been picked up by Blue Martini Gaming and have added Carbon XYZ, who used to play for Now Esports, which is now Accelerate. Accelerate substitute Carbon for Trevor, who was scouted from a Contenders team. The team, formerly known as Smoking Aces, now represents Denial. Their new addition to the team is Shuru, who was previously on Vicious Gaming. Shuru built the spot of Cherry Poppins, who is now playing on Simplicity. Lobes is also new on Simplicity, leaving his old team of Cloud9. Endemic have added Relo, who was on Low-Key Esports to their roster. Still Hero retired from competitive PUBG, and Stab from Overconfident now plays on United. Mustache Dave is now known as the Rumblers. Waldo is the newest player on the Rumblers and has replaced Caden, who is now on Wildcard. Coast Gaming, Player One Esports, the returning champs Tempo Storm, Team Envy, and Shoot to Kill, who now is known as Lazarus, are returning to Phase 2 with the same rosters.
Wow.
Alright, everybody make some noise and give it up for the 16 teams in the National PUBG League! Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Go!
Tempo's hard. Look at the guy that wins once they get killed.
All that matters is you win, right?
Welcome back. It's NPL. Let's take a quick look at the rankings for match 2. Match room.
All right, so here we go. Match number 2, Endemic up at the top of it with 18 points. Back behind that, we got Space Station Gaming, 12. Envy following that back up with 11, and Denial tying that as well. Then it falls back down to Cloud9, Tempo Storm, Accelerate, and the Rumblers.
There you go. I mean, look, that was. I don't think we can deny that was kind of a weird little game, right? I mean, we had Endemic and Denial that was kind of in complete control of the southern side of the circle towards the late game, and everything though was happening off to the north. They managed to just survive and pick up kills at the end, which, you know, I mean, it's not their fault. It's just everything happened to be going on away from them.
And the teams that didn't get positioned did a good job of picking up those kills, right? We saw Tempo Storm with 7, Envy with 8. So when they knew that last circle's not in our favor, they did a good job of racking up the points however you can. I think that's the coolest new thing about the point system.
Oh, absolutely. 100% is that there are so many different little mini strategies that you can use to make your way up through the leaderboards. You can choose to go for the fragging out route, sacrifice a little bit of early game, or just try to go for those placement points.
But this is, I mean, obviously a huge deal for Endemic. I mean, after day 1, they were sitting on 8 points overall in dead last place. So now they finally come in with this victory, this 18-point victory, going to be able to jump up this leaderboard.
Speaking of overall points, let's look at the overall standings. Tempo Storm firmly in first with 56 total. Lazarus feeling good in second. E-United, Cloud9. That top 4 is starting to look a little more of what I'm used to.
Got some deja vu feeling here. I don't know, like maybe a couple of names have changed a little bit, but pretty similar.
That said, Denial Esports at 6. I know there was some back and forth, Poro, on how you thought they would perform in this tournament so far. Have they changed your mind?
You know, I think that if they are
take a breath.
Look,
take a breath.
They've had 2 really great games.
Yeah.
The other ones haven't really gone their way.
I got you.
So I mean, obviously, I think they're a team that can perform if everything kind of goes their way. I just, you know, we want to see what happens when things not are going their way. Can they get one player alive to manage to get to late game and still rack up a couple of points like a team like Lazarus did, you know, where you get a bunch of kills early on and you manage to snake uncivils all the way until, you know, 6th place and you end up picking up a couple more placements. So I think that they're doing a great job. But it's kind of inconsistent right now. But again, it's only 6 games in. There's going to be a lot of inconsistency.
New players, maybe new chemistry underway, trying to find the science that works for your win. How big a deal and how much time do you think you have to get your hands on this chemistry matchup?
Well, I mean, whenever you look at it, there's just not a lot of weeks in the NPL, all things considered. Once we get done with this, we're essentially a 6th the way through. And I know that sounds like, oh, there's still plenty of time, but you can't sacrifice these games at the start. We talk about it, momentum. Tempo Storm coming in here, now they're starting to get points to play with, so if they have a bad game, they're not super stressed out. Now then, you talked about rosters locked, didn't have a lot of time to make a lot of these switches up, and now you have to figure out how to fit new players into a team synergy and how calls work out. You've got to turn it around as fast as possible.
Now, talking about getting off to a fast start, Tempo Storm, a team that was a little bit slow to start, I feel like, last season. They had some good games and some bad games. They came out of the gates blazing this weekend so far. Even though they didn't win the last one, they still got 7 kills on a tough game for them. Win to start the day. First place by a pretty good buffer. I mean, 12 points is a lot at this stage.
It's a game win.
How terrifying is that for everyone?
I mean, I think everybody needs to be. There might have been a little bit of hesitation about how Tempo was going to perform after we saw how they performed at Face It. They say maybe can't. Maybe Tempo can only play with the lead. Maybe they have a trouble playing from behind. Well, at least through week 1 here, we're seeing that's not really the case. Tempo after one day was in 8th place. They come out here and they're just absolutely dominating these first 2 games.
We saw them at Face It. We've seen them in week 1. Let's take a look back at how we saw them in game 1 and game 2 today.
Yes.
You know what time it is?
What time is it?
Highlight time.
Let's go.
Let's
It's my
do it.
favorite time.
This is the first time we get to do this.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
It's more fun than it seems like.
All
Anyway.
right, so here we go.
This is your favorite.
This is my thing. I love this. Trevor reposition up on top of that rock. That is such a smart play. Knew where rotations were going to be coming and try to catch him out. Meanwhile, the other side of the duo managed to do a little bit of bridge camp.
Yeah, I mean, look, Accelerate, a really interesting play there early on. They still have yet to get the placement point, though. I want to see them try to last a little bit longer here in this thing as we check in on Wildcard and Player One Esports continuing their dominant play from yesterday.
Matchroom tries to love on Accelerate. Para says not today.
Oh, why won't you just let me have this? They're such a fun team to watch. I know the points aren't necessarily in their favor right now, but they are a fun team to keep an eye on.
Absolutely.
Speaking of this, we got Envy and naturally Tempo Storm in this position where they were just raining down grenades on top of Envy. Nowhere to go.
I'm 100% going to go back and check the VODs here and see exactly how many grenades it ended up being, but I got to imagine it was in the teens here. But as we see Endemic, we talked about this.
Yep.
Crispier had 2 grenades in hand. He had a chance there to really kind of come from behind here on Tempo.
And like a kid fresh out of college, he was just too scared to cook, didn't take the lead, let Tempo be in total control at that point, and then it was Zampa from the high ground holding that position that was just unstoppable at that stage.
Wow.
Jumping into Miramar, game number 2.
Wow.
Talk about it.
I love it, and you can see the Rumblers picking up a kill there, but United had a little bit of woes in their rotations. You can see a lot of people getting dropped off at different spots, and it's just nowhere safe for them to go through.
Absolutely, United's rotation path for there. It's the
no!
first time we've seen a Northwestern Circle, so, look at this. And you just hate to see it. Lowe's had such a great idea there. It just doesn't end up panning out for him.
Meanwhile, we got Tetra back over the rock. This was that huge fight around the middle of the game that really decided a lot of rotations from this point forward. There were 3 teams just stacked up on top of each other. With Player One Esports off to one side, you can see we also had Accelerate on the other side of it, but Cherry Poppins looking back down towards Ghost Gaming.
I mean, we go back and look at that before. Accelerate, they get scrapped, man. But look at this. This was the absolute craziest northern side of this circle. I mean, that fight between Tempo, Envy, and SSG, I had to go back and watch that. It was a thing of beauty.
And this is a tale of oldest time. We've got Lazarus taking some shots back over at Tempo Storm, and it just turns really in Tempo Storm's favor quite quickly.
Yeah, the guys from Lazarus were geared to win potentially, but Tempo just locked him in a hole. And from that point on, a couple of nades, ironically enough, since they give Lazarus such a hard time about their nade love, they do the same to them.
I mean, that's kind of the running thing right now, is everybody's just like, oh, you just spam grenades. And then we watch it and all the teams end up doing it. So, as we see more grenade spam coming into play, and Endemic trying to make this push back up towards Denial. Really, Denial had the high ground
I
positioning,
thought it was their game.
It was such great clutch plays coming out from the Endemic guys. We ended up in a 2v1, repositioning out on 2 different angles, and managed to take the round win.
Yeah, I thought that was Denial's match to win, but Endemic played it well. They walk out with 8 kills, and I think a big confidence booster for a team that has felt slow. Crispier, particularly for me, has felt off of his game. I expected some bigger stuff coming from him on day 1. Maybe this is sort of the spark to catalyze that reaction.
Well, things are starting to turn around for him, right? I mean, they added Reload with the hope that, they can kind of add to their fragging power, and they haven't just really been in a position to really see how that plays out just yet. Now they finally find themselves in that position. And again, but they, my only thing was maybe a little bit too passive. You're 4 strong this late in the game. I mean, they heard the fights going on between SSG and Cloud9 and Tempo really on the northern side, but it seemed like they were very concerned about Denial off to their west and kind of were slow in wrapping around to the north to try to maybe take advantage of something there.
Slow movements cost big. And let's actually take a look at the augmented reality map, because we'll take a look at how those teams have moved in game 1. A reminder, since it's been a while since we saw it, we'll start out with the plane and the circle, and then we'll get to see the paths for the 4 featured teams, as well as the team that took home the big victory. So, pull up that map, show us the drop zones. Not a bad plane to start this off. A lot of availability for everyone, though it does make me question what we're going to see in Zarky in just a second, considering it's the back end of the plane path.
I mean, it's just military base circle coming up, and you know there was just woes and complaints that came into play. Look at where all the teams are. They're just way up towards the main island itself. Long rotations having to come in for a couple of these teams, but notice not a lot way up north.
I want to talk about really quickly again, we're seeing Envy and Pecadores fall right on top of each other here in the farm split, but you get a chance to see why that position is so important to Envy and why they don't want to leave it, as they were able to kind of avoid Pecadores for the early part of this game here, got priority on a boat, and were able to get over to the island early and take a very, very valuable position. Meanwhile, Pecadores gets left behind and dies to the blue.
That's my favorite spot. Whenever we start seeing all of the trails coming into play, as you can see all the different teams and how they move through the map, and you got to see some long rotations coming out from our top teams coming through.
Tempo Storm worked hard to get there, accelerate, set some traps, and everyone else prayed to make it, but ultimately it was Tempo's game, as we see in this final fight against the Devon.
I mean, you said it yourself, Toffees. The tempo in this game was looking like they were playing like they were absolutely having a blast.
Yes.
And that is when they are at their most deadly and dangerous. And if they can keep this up, who knows how many points, how far of a lead they'll end up getting here.
A happy Tempo Storm is a scary thing for everybody else inside the lobby, because they just get more carefree and they just feel like they can hit every single shot, and then they do.
I like the giants behind the map. Look like they're sort of looking down on the world there. No, and I think that that's something that translates. When we talk about professional PUBG, we often say, well, where does that fit into sort of casual play or pub play? And that's one of my big takeaways, right? It's the same in pubs. When you're having a good time, maybe your strategy's not the best, but everyone's feeling confident. That's when we rack up the wins. It's when we've had a couple of losses, we're stressed out, that you're like, nah, maybe I'm going to go play some Civ.
Or we argue with each other about driving, Poro.
Oh, whatever. Here we go. Shiru still holding on to that damage lead right now after 6 games. 2,262 points for himself. Nerf, support player, by the way, coming in with 2,186 damage, taking good number second place. Zampa, Valley, and K-Mine are going to round out that top 5.
I got to give it to you, Poro. We were throwing all kinds of banter while you're going through that leaderboard, and you just stayed the professional. Well played.
I am a giant.
Yeah.
I am impenetrable.
If only you could focus that hard on your driving. Survival time total for the entire phase so far. Lazarus, Uncivil, up at 224, and kind of ticking down from there. Player One Esports was up on the lead on this after day one. They've fallen off pretty dramatically.
I'm actually really surprised to see Endemic up here at the top of survival time, considering that their placement points have been so low. So it looks like they're just kind of ending up in rough spots in these circle 5 and 6 maybe, at least early on. So things turning around today for them though.
Well, I mean, they just did walk away with a round victory over Miramar. That helps out their numbers quite a bit. Tempo Storm being inside of a lot, naturally no surprise in here, but survived is one of the key factors. Naturally, this is where you know who's winning the most, but follow up back behind that. Kills up at the top of it. It is Nerf. 14 kills up this. Usually we see a lot of Cloud9 players appearing in these kill leaderboards. Nerf really showing up in this first weekend. Taylor J back behind that with 13.
Yeah, his bullets are definitely not made of foam, as he is taking the people down nonstop. For me, it comes down to Tempo Storm, 4th and 5th.
Yeah.
Huge combined kill count, but more importantly, it means they're spreading the work around, and I think that's a key to a top team.
Absolutely. I mean, we got used to seeing Sharky living, camping, setting up a tent, building a home there in the top of the leaderboards for kills and damage last year. So not surprising to see him in 4th already, making a run for that first place position early.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. Let's take a second and talk about Sharky, okay? He was a pickup sort of going into Season 1. Honestly, Tempo Storm felt like they needed something for a very long time. They were trying to find that fragger fit. We saw him do well at WSOE with sort of a lone player who was a great fragger. And then it just petered off till they found this. And I love BenQ, but it took a long time to sort of get that maybe his personality wasn't the right fit. Sharky's been phenomenal.
I mean, you look at any interview that you've seen with Tempo, you can tell right off the bat. I mean, Sharky is one of the guys. I mean, they all have literally the same personality. They all have that. I mean, let's be honest. It's maybe a little weird.
A little but that's kind of the fun thing about Tempo Storm is they're they feel like the guys whenever you just go and play with your friends. That's kind of the way Tempo Storm feels and the way that they act all the time. You can see they got the smiles on their face. Yeah, I see you, Dre. We're talking about how nice you guys are.
On the other side, though, I think we can pick a big shout out to Microstar, who's been added as sort of the coach on the team. Literally, if you stand him next to the other guys and compare just, the put-together look that Microstar brings to every, he's always gelled, he's always perfectly shaved. I think he brings some order to the team, especially when things get sort of off the rails, if that makes sense. And that's a huge thing for these guys.
A little bit of stability to rein them back in when they go a little bit too wild. But speaking of wild, we got a couple of wild teams that we're going to be looking at here for our 4 featured teams.
Yeah, checking in on Endemic, Player One Esports, Cloud9, and Blue Martini Gaming. Player One Esports had a huge day yesterday. Been a little bit quiet today. Yeah, on the quiet side. Same with Blue Martini.
I like seeing Blue Martini on here. I'm going to go ahead and say that Jason's family has been making multiple Twitter accounts and throwing out as many votes as they can. I'm excited to see that, though. And it's a great feature because he's been putting in some good performances. I've been very impressed. We often talked about J-Sank with the old Martini Oxymoron lineup, but Jason seems to be doing a great job.
I kept saying moving into this that Jason was going to be a guy to keep in mind on as far as Blue Martini Gaming goes. He was kind of like that sneaky thing that we didn't necessarily get enough time to spend enough attention on in Phase 1.
But I'll tell you what we get to spend a lot of time with, and that is the song. The song means it's time to get our next two games underway. Let's do it. Gentlemen, we're going to send it down to the hostess with the mostest, WTF Moses and Cammy D.
Thank you so much, Toppies. Appreciate the impromptu raps as always. As we look at Player One Esports here, and Denial as well as the final legit, always the face. That's where I'm talking to you. As what a fun Miramar game that was, Cameron.
Stretch those wings. Yeah, Denial like doing a good job of keeping themselves alive into the late game. Endemic though dismantling themselves out of that spot for first place finish. Who's this, Endemic?
That's Endemic.
That's Endemic, yeah. They're the ones that actually won that round, so definitely a good run from them.
It was a kind of a tale of two rounds. I mean, Crispier, I think, had a little bit of, Paul called it out. He had a nade opportunity that he missed, but you know what? Turns it around, wins the next game.
Whatever, they won.
And that's it. Well, I mean, they lost the first one, but I mean, the second one.
Okay, the second one, yeah.
So for Player One, I mean, I've really been impressed with this squad. For a team coming out of contenders, that's the story I'm always interested in. A team that has to fight their way from the bottom and work their way to the top. They've made it their way here, and they've actually come out and shown these guys, the rest of the players in this lobby, that they can compete.
Yes, they are still in the middle sections of the leaderboard, so of course they're going to want to be trying to climb higher and higher. They're sticking to their game plan, and I love it. It's just trying to get that to work in the NPL, because it worked wonders in Contenders last phase. But make a couple adjustments, start to punish specific teams like they did in Contenders. Elevate is like the big example of them specifically punishing one team's rotations. Pick a team to start doing that to here, and that's more points that you can put in your pocket.
Absolutely. Well, we're headed back to Miramar. It's match number 3. We've got one more Erangel game after this one, but Miramar has been always such a fun time. I think it's the rotations and especially the late game movement. The terrain is such a massive factor. Compounds become a little less important, and just the movement of this map is so technical, and it's not necessarily fluid if you're driving, but it's so interesting to watch unfold.
Yeah, it's really weird. For the largest map, the terrain is the best for foot travel and for footwork.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of it's two separate games. The first half of the game, you always have to have vehicles. Second half, you almost never want to have vehicles. And so being able to balance that out is a sign of a good Miramar squad.
And you know what? The only other map that I can think of where foot traffic is such a big bonus, or at least necessity, I should say, is Sanhok, which maybe someday we'll have the opportunity to see how these teams might fare on a map like that. But for Cloud9, they're headed back into Mikado. This has been such a bonus for them, but I mean, they've kind of found themselves not really rolling into the end game as easily as they might have done in Phase 1.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a slow start for them, and they're actually in a good position on the leaderboard, but the fact that we're still calling it a slow start just shows to the expectations that we put on this squad.
I'm not really calling, I guess not a slow start per se, but in phase number 1, they would roll into the end game as 4 without really taking too many shots. Maybe not so much damage as they've been taking in rotation, finding themselves with 2 or 3 players down. Obviously, K-Mind had to pull out the stops last game and secure a couple extra points for his squad, but it hasn't been coming easy for Cloud9.
Now, I guess, yeah, they're in a good spot on Miramar. Mikado's a good central position to work with. The rotations, they can be a little dynamic at times, but they're not the worst, especially because you're dead center. You basically have choice of any direction that you want to go. And so in this circle like this, where it's another one up towards the northwest, but it's not so dynamic, I don't expect to see so many squads come in from the south that we saw last game.
Well, it's a very similar circle, but you said it. It's a little bit further to the east this time around. So for Pecadores, they find themselves the center of the zone. This is a squad that has really retained a lot of its look and feel, aside from the organization they represent, through phase number 2, where they seem to be making it into the later games, later stages with 4 strong, and then go for any level of movement and then get immediately destroyed. So if you're Pecadores, what are you changing?
Go loud, go bigger. Go more. The action that they had didn't pan out for them perfectly on the first round on Erangel, but go for those early fights. Like they've been fighting Envy and Farm every Erangel game. Go for that early game aggression, get those early points, and earn yourself the positioning. Don't just slowly sneak and crawl and just hide out in positioning like what happened last game.
Looking at the way Player One Esports has set themselves up, it's going to be a relatively easy loot down in Leonis. They've got a lot of space around them, but they are not in the zone. E United a little bit off to their west with Envy to their north. Envy had one of the hardest ways into their late game position that I've ever seen, I would say, in the last game, where it was a bloodbath along the middle portion of this first circle. I gotta say though, we have seen Envy in the past quake and crack under pressure. Not the case last game.
Yeah, no, they actually worked that. That northern fight was just amazing to watch from all the different squads. Envy, Space Station, who is a wild card up there,
right,
and then Tempo Storm coming into third party at the end. And I don't think there was a single squad that just crumbled under the pressure. Different squads were more successful than others, but it was a very well fought fight all around, and that just goes to show the quality of squads that we have in this lobby. So many of the squads on the northern side were the ones that we often expect to see at the top end of the leaderboard.
And you know, it's kind of a product of the relegation system, something that we first went through in phase number 1 with so many teams coming up, making changes with their rosters, going down in the contenders. In some cases, shout out to Noble, but I mean, it was a team that was just out of place in the NPL. So as the relegation system continues to get more and more intense, the difficulty will continue to increase. So for teams like Cloud9 that maybe had an easier first phase, those teams that they were stomping before have been replaced with teams like Player One Esports, BMG on your screen, and obviously the new and retooled Simplicity.
We only got 3 teams replaced during relegations, but more important to that, we saw a shuffle of rosters, but the contenders teams, looking at Accelerate, looking at Player One Esports, and then even the experience that the NPL teams had during relegations as well as NPL Royale, is that the contenders squad, even if they're not themselves going up to NPL, they're bringing their ideas and they're bringing some new freshness to the NPL. And the teams that were at the top in phase 1 and they want to stay at the top, they need to be aware of these changes and be aware of these adjustments that other squads are discovering.
It's always a constant evolution in PUBG and PUBG Esports. So for Simplicity now, they've got their line of sight onto Cloud9, transitioning across the road, and we got Space Station Gaming looking at the warehouse they made their last stand in last game. That's where Simplicity's sitting right now. That's a wide peak. J-Sank is going to punish that every single time. For J-Sank specifically, Cameron, how has he been slotting into Space Station Gaming in your mind?
Space Station they've been in a development process. They did lose Hypoc. It seemed to have been a bigger of a blow than I think some people could have been expecting, because last game was a really good game for them, but it took a number of rounds for it to load up to that point. They're still trying to develop this new system, I feel, and J-Sync, he seems to be fitting in relatively well. It's how is the squad as a whole going to work?
I gotta say, I mean, with Hypoc coming off the roster, it has been a change in the dynamic of the team where they had been together for so long. I think that mentally they're still trying to reset and find their stride with the addition of J-Sank, and as well as the change in the banner they played under, going from Optic then to YTEM Fate, now finally back to Space Station Gaming. Space Station is an organization that will stick with you if you show that you can perform, and a squad like that has the ability to perform. It's just a matter of getting used to whatever the pacing is and incorporating that new player.
Relo trying to send the shots in a Mini 14 onto a rotating flare. Doesn't land too many of them at least. It's all just going to be vying for space, vying for time, but Cloud9, look at this split that they've been able to employ. Space Station looks like they're on a split themselves. All 4 were grouped up, but J-Sync and Baja here, they're splitting up. I believe they go north to once again set themselves up on a 2-2 split in the early game. They did this last round to get themselves space, information, and potential rotation points into the second circle.
It's a bit of a slow start here on Miramar as we have lots of space available, but that center area, very dense with teams. It is Simplicity dead on the bullseye in the middle of the map. Right now it's Endemic just trading very long distance shots. Essentially ineffective fire here between Space Station's high ground, and it looks like Cloud9 sandwiched between the two right now as Rello just trying to pick up whatever damage he can, maybe pop a couple of tires. This early game in Miramar, Cameron, all about just trying to erode meds, getting that what you might call low impact damage that will maybe affect the later stages of the game.
It's a battle of attrition, not just meds, not just armor, but also vehicle tires, rotation strategies. It's all about setting yourselves up for the best mid game possible, as well as trying to ruin everyone else's mid games as much as possible. Reeler just barely dodges a shot, it seems.
Kind of a thorn in the side of anyone to show their faces his direction. The newest addition to Endemic, Rello coming up, I believe, from Contenders, and this has been an interesting kind of dynamic on Endemic. It's been discussed, at least back channel. Mini Fridge coming off the team was not a fun time on either side. And for Wolf, kind of the hub of the squad, bringing in his old coach from, or excuse me, his old teammate from Evil Geniuses in Nomi. So it's a bit of a new lick Endemic, but it hasn't really been the flashiest, aside obviously from their victory in game number 2. Day number 1 didn't go their way, but it's about finding their stride here, and all these teams trying to do so as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'm not going to mince words. Mini Fridge's performance last phase was not the greatest, and so Endemic deciding to remove him and replace him with another player is not a questionable decision, but it's how are they going to turn this into a squad that can live up to the expectations that Endemic established in the early game last phase. They got a very disappointing third place finish game number 1, but they got a win game number 2, even though it was with the marginally lower amount of kills. It looks like they're being active in the early game though, and with this circle shift, this is a good position for them to pick up points. So I want to see them go aggressive, and I want to see them get those points and get those kills.
Accelerate has the opportunity to go straight north and find themselves a nice position. As everyone had gone center and now vying back towards Pozo with Space Station Gaming, they started their round there and they're going to head back that direction. Now, Cameron, are we going to see the same split that they executed in essentially the identical circle from game number 1, or the previous game, I should say?
Which squad?
Well, they did a 2-2 split through Pozo in the last game.
Space Station?
Space Station.
Okay, yeah. No, they're going to a similar default. They have priority to get center circle and circle number 2. Even though the first circle was in a similar position, with the hard shifts that we saw in both games, they're on drastically different parts of the map. And so I'm curious to see how a lot of these teams are going to be adjusting to it. Cloud9, they push forward into El Pozo as well. El Pozo's dead center, and so there's always going to be the drive to get inside the city, but Lazarus taking out Maluk.
The last bullet in the mag, and that's going to be a quick finish. And the first man out of the lobby at 10 minutes into the game is Tempo Storm's Maluk. And with Uncivil picking up that first point, they're going to stop and wait to see, will Zampa come the same direction? Likely not. Tempo not want to dive right back into the same breach. And for Lazarus, here comes Ghost Gaming. They're in an interesting position here on the northern side, not quite in the zone, maybe looking to pick up some kills here from rotating teams like Ghost and Simplicity. And now it's caused, BMG, that's caused a big log jam on the top right side of the map.
Yeah, and actually everyone's turning around. Ghost, they just completely U-turned and are going to try and find a different route to get into the circle. Lazarus, they only got 1 kill there, but they were loud enough to deter everyone else. A little bit disappointed because they don't have more potential kills coming up to the plate, but this could, if they recognize that everyone else is turning around and going a different direction, they could themselves take this opportunity to instead get into the circle instead of committing to the road camp.
Dre goes down as well, so that's 2 off of Tempo's team. And the couple of kills coming in elsewhere as the center zone again becomes extremely dense with players. As Pozo, the axis on which all the players are currently rotating, as we see the second circle at least revealing itself for now, but it's going to be a quick jumble in the center. This valley area around the southern side of Pozo is always a focal point on these Miramar games, at least on this side of the map. Drassel doing his best to navigate the unwavering terrain of Miramar, but he's actually following down. It's Sharky from Tempo Storm, and you know what? For Ghost Gaming, they've had some flashes, and they haven't made any changes to their roster, but maybe the strategy going to be going a little bit further north, but they're going to be coming in late behind Tempo.
Oh wow, Tempo actually lost the second one.
It was Dre gone.
Yeah, I completely missed when Dre got taken out. So this is definitely not a good start for them. Ghost Gaming though sticking as 4 in a caravan-like formation, trying to get inside the circle. They were taking a little bit of damage from the blue, but it's a worthwhile damage in order to get good positioning and to not get taken out by the vehicles that they saw ahead of themselves. But speaking of vehicles,
looks like Tumai is going to take down Clam, looking for any other vehicles coming their way. No other threats inbound. Caden will finish the flush, and that is one more down from BMG. Wildcard picking up a kill there. Carbon having to turn away and drive from Wildcard, who are pressuring him at distance. Tumai looking to land any shots, a little bit short there, looking for the tires, but Tumai cannot get the SKS to go. Lazarus taking some shots as well. That's really far away. I'd be impressed to see those shots land from Tumai.
This is an interesting position by Wildcard. They are taking position around the crater field. And, oh my god, I think they actually get the circle in their favor up on the northern side. The crater field can be a very prominent part of the map if the circle stays on it. It's just like any other field except, of course, the added ridge of the crater. And so the fact that Wildcard already have presence around this area, this gives them a good position to control the late game.
Rafi looking to try and pop those tires. The buggy is a precarious vehicle. If you lose any of those wheels, they'll come to a complete stop if you're not careful. Envy, they have not had easy times in rotation, always receiving pressure, but they have been resilient so far. Profi not landing any shots, and the entire team of Envy will get past him. United coming a little bit further on the other side. They're going to be coming through Pozo. And now the question is Space Station Gaming. They are still basically dead center. They've got the high ground, and they should have some decent vision up there. But like you said, Cameron, that crater field, that's a huge distance to cover. And that's going to be Sharky from Tempo going down and finish to Lazarus, who has been harassing them early. Venerated also getting finished off. Cloud9 now getting that damage they've been wanting, but it's going to be Taylor J getting the point from Venerated.
United finally put in some work on Miramar. It was a very unsuccessful last game, but they're picking up a couple of points now this time around. They're on the south side, it's not the perfect position, but neither is it for Envy. They're actually pushed from Cloud9 into Pecadores, who themselves have been a lot louder this time around. Voxic and Vexel, the two Vs on Pex, are in a position. They hear the vehicles, and they're setting themselves up to punish with the oversight of Smurf and D-Master off in the distance.
Moody's been trapped from Envy. He can't get away from Cloud9 or E United. And now for Accelerate, they're taking those shots at player one, who are going to come to a stop and maybe try and make a stand here on the edge of the zone. I think they're going to share this side of the western side, I should say, with both Accelerate and the Rumblers who are arriving. You can see Aguila with the Mini trying to poke away at Godspeed and the crew, who have not been having a good day so far and are struggling to find those points. So if you're Rumblers, I mean, you're on the edge of the zone. There's nowhere really to go from here. Do you try and push this fight and make a stand?
You may want to, because pushing into the center from this position on the west side of this western highway can be really rough. You don't have a lot of cover, and there's not good positioning on this side. You're on the edge of the circle, on circle number 3. It is not the best position to be in, and so you want to get those kills early, and you want to make space for yourself now while you can, but in order to do so, you need to land the shots, and Player One Esports are not giving the Rumblers the opportunity to do that. They're playing very conservative themselves, but they're backing away from any threats, and they're going to Player One, they like to play strong early, but it seems this time around they're going to be positioning themselves to get most of their action and most of their points in the mid to late game.
For Accelerate, kind of the third party there, potential as well. They've got a split. They're watching this edge of the zone, and they're playing the gatekeepers. Like you said, it's so hard to cross that highway, and Accelerate's in a great position to catch anybody, and Rello looking for the nade. Will it land anywhere nearby to hit pay dirt on denial? Maybe does a little bit of damage to Define, but he's trying to get his med off regardless. Crow split aside looking for any information, but this Pozo region, you got to know, man, if you play PUBG, these city fights can be so tedious. You have no idea who can see you from where. Footsteps are always clouded, and denial looks like they want to back away.
And the worst part is that El Pozo is no longer in the circle. We saw a shift up north and another shift up west. You can even see on the mini-map, very little of El Pozo is inside, and Endemic controls that entire section. So denial, they need to make the decision. Do they want to push forward through the city, or do they want to perhaps try to find a way to wrap up towards the west? But there's not a lot of space there because Rumblers is up on that section.
It's kind of a dead center zone. Only Accelerate has a really nice position here. Space Station Gaming now, with so many players left alive, still 57 up. We are now, I believe, 16 minutes into the game. Now it becomes a bit of a pressure cooker, and just like that, Vexel's going to jump up and get a quick down onto Penta.
Yeah, they lost D-Master, but they're still fighting. Smurf finishes that kill off, and Lobes is out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, the grenade ready to pounce. He's going to throw it maybe a little too far. Not sure if that's going to land anywhere nearby. Does do damage to Cherry Poppins. Lobes is waiting. He's looking for any peeks there, and the shots come out from Smurf. Another quick down. Cherry will get down as Rello otherwise gets Define legit. That's a quick flush onto Cherry Poppins, and now Smurf is in a 1v1 situation with Lobes, who hasn't been able to crest the ridgeline. Vexel looking for information on the low side flank. He's going to spot Lobes, the quick flash, and it will not happen as Lobes will take him down in turn. Smurf not able to trade. Lobes is going down very quickly to the blue, and he's going to maybe lose it, and he will as Simplicity, well, I guess denies the point, but the bonus ball anyway from Smurf, who's also outside the zone. I don't know if he can save Vexel.
Yeah, because he's got a med himself before he goes for the revive, and Vexel might be bleeding out before he can even get there.
249 on Wolf. Looking for that close quarters fight. We saw Endemic with the 249 last game. And that nade is going to land maybe right in the center of the whole moving squad. I don't see explode. Oh, he bounced one off the door frame. Unfortunately for Wolf, unable to get it into pay dirt. And now all of Denial is moving into fine position on Endemic. Crispier is on the exterior. Wolf is on the interior. He's got the 249, but the smoke grenade in defense. And it looks like Endemic is actually trying to escape this fight.
Yeah, Endemic are actually way too split off to defend from this. Denial find an opening to rotate the entire squad through. And now Crispier, if anyone peeks him, it's going to be a 1vx fight against Denial. They don't want to commit heavily against this, especially because they should be aware that EU United are on the opposite side of them. So Endemic, they didn't hold hard enough, and it's a difficult task to ask for in the city. But nonetheless, they failed to do so, and they're potentially surrounded now while Denial all in a big giant group. Easy trades from that position.
Tempo is going to go down in 15th place. McCoy getting the last kill on the Zampa. So that rotation didn't go their way. Now it's Enemy, it's Pat Caps. He's in the low ground. He's got low health, and Valiant will take him down. Valiant's been clutch so far for Space Station Gaming. Moody stepping up now into Hetero, I believe. Can't get the down or anything else, and there comes the nade. J-Stan gets down, interrogate, and this is looking like Space Station Gaming has their foot on the neck of Envy. And now Baja, Moody still trying to joust a little bit on this ridge line. It's a peaking battle, but Hetero sitting there in J-Sank, and it's actually Caden from distance will take down the ex-teammate, and Moody is finished off as Envy is down and out.
14th, but Pecadores, they do finally go out themselves. They tried to rush an El Pozo, and they get flushed out by Stab. Came by themselves, they actually, C9 pushed up north away from El Pozo, and they're going directly into Space Station Gaming. Baja spots this, sees the pressure.
Another heavyweight matchup here, Cameron, as it looks like Space Station Gaming and C9 are going to be meeting here. K-Mine is in the window. Quick pop! Hetero is surprised, but again, avoids getting downed. That's a clutch, I guess, defense or maybe a whiff by K-Mine. The nade comes back, but not before Win takes him down. Valiant now has to be rezzed. Baja has to make a decision. Does he hold with the bolt action or does he go for the res? Valiant not in a great position. Looks like they're going to lose him. And look at that BMG by themselves. The man in the ghillie. He's a desert bush. He's laying in wait as they can hear this fight happening right on their doorstep. Baja, this church, this rooftop, difficult to navigate. Baja looking for any information, maybe spots, doesn't see Profi. I don't know how he missed him there. BMG is just lurking on the edge.
SSG, they don't need to push heavily onto this because the circle is in their favor. Cloud9 are just barely inside. Here comes the United, their own rush up forward. They're trying to get a center position.
Looking like Profi has got a great line of sight here from this rooftop. He's playing that ridge masterfully, but now it's the low side flank coming in from BMG. Are they just trying to avoid this, Cam?
Yeah, they are. If they tried to third party that fight, they'd get turned on by both squads immediately, and they're not even inside the next circle. They're just going to rotate away and hope to find a fight later on that's perhaps more advantageous.
Profi on this rooftop is just, again, taking the bricks to Space Station Gaming, who are going down one at a time. The res now has to come out. Crispier spraying as best as he can. I don't think he got anything from that. I did see a down, but that was Taylor J who got the Denial player down. And it's Wolf and the rest of Endemic trying to make their way through Denial. But in the back line is Pistola Time. Just, again, is EU United third-partying this from distance. Can't get anything going. Can Endemic. The 249 is out.
Perfect plan by EU United. They don't push through Opposo into that fight. They get ahead of them and third party this action. Look, all these downs onto Endemic are mostly coming from EU United. Denial are doing a little bit, but Reload does get a knock and the flush gets another point for Endemic.
And Define Legit will go down to Taylor J, the flush there. Now Charu, another headshot. Again, EU United, that's all damage coming from them. It's Endemic technically fighting Denial, but Taylor J is just prone or at least crouched in this shack with the bolt action at the ready. And there's the final kill as Rello will finish Charu. But I mean, this is not looking good for him either. It's just getting spammed down. One shot lands, anything else is going to finish him off. Rello, again, this is withering fire. He's got a dumpster to sit next to, and this has been a dumpster of a game for Endemic.
They needed to go onto denial a lot quicker because it took them too long. They played too long of footsies with denial. Another team third party, it could have been United, it could have been anyone else. It could have been Cloud9 or Space Station if they themselves weren't locked up in a fight of their own. But here comes K9 trying to punish United's own position.
Caden has been playing that sniper role so effectively for Wildcard. K-Mine trying to emulate that with the SKS as they're now turning their sights onto United, who's been picking up points on the southern side. Look at all that space that has been alleviated by all those teams trying to get through, Cameron.
Lazarus in a good spot, a little bit of a split, and Relo is getting closer and closer. He actually makes it inside the next circle, and circle number 6 is relatively center. United should know that he's there, but the pressure from Cloud9 on their northeast side may distract them from that final kill. But
Cloud9 is haunted by this Profi spot on top of the church.
Yeah.
He cannot let go of that church rooftop. Like, is he still there? And indeed he is. Profi has been playing a thorn in the side of all of Space Station Gaming for a couple of rounds now, as Win has pushed all the way up. Look at this massive big balls play from Win coming along by himself.
Oh, spots BMG though. This is third party potential. They don't want to commit onto SSG. So they don't themselves get third party. Baja actually takes down Nerf to open this fight up. The rotation from Cloud9 not working out too well so far.
Player 1 Esports, David is down. They got the nades coming out as the Rumblers. They had a good spot so far, but that flush likely coming in. Los HD not going to go down to the nade. The defensive nades coming out from, that is the Rumblers, and Lavalot's going to go down. Godspeed gets one down. D-Trees is going to have to flush. He's going to get the point, but can he get another kill? Looks like he can. Another flush trying to come as D-Trees with half health trying to clutch now. He's got one Rumblers player that's Waldo actually, trying to play the line, but he can't get it. He's got the boxes for cover, and now the hold comes in for Waldo. It's got to be a tense situation here. Otherwise, it's Space Station Gaming getting naded out by K-Mind, and now this end game is starting to establish itself.
Watch Lazarus. They're up on the north and they're pushing in onto this. D-Trees does get the final shot on a Godspeed to take the Rumblers out, or at least get the flush onto that.
Oh, Waldo will finish him off. D-Trees and Player 1 Esports down. Meanwhile, Wildcard also eliminated. Now K-Mind again, the last man standing from Cloud9, and United has come back to play. The haunting ghost of K-Mine is about to be dispelled as United looking for any angle here, but K-Mine has been so crafty as the solo player, as Alo will finish off Waldo, and we are down to our top 6 teams.
Yeah, K-Mine, once again, the lone player from C9 left, but 7 kills already. This is another good point game. Let's see if he can't get any more like last time. Just 1 or 2 would put them in a really good position. Relo, still alive, able to get himself into the 6th circle. Undercover, United have been completely just forgot about him, going aggressive on the previous SSG C9 fight.
If you've played PUBG, you know how difficult it is in this terrain, trying to get around these rocky outcroppings where United is currently situated right next between, that's actually BMG and the remnants of Cloud9, I should say. It's just K-Mine by himself. So Jason is hearing those footsteps, but again, where are they? Are they high? Are they low? You know in this situation how difficult it is to hear audio cues, how difficult it is to move. If you're E-United, you're just playing your time effectively. You can't rush around this area because there could be players lurking everywhere.
The fishing nades come out, but look at the angle that Alo has from Lazarus on the opposite side of the circle, trying to third party E-United. Lazarus have been able to find themselves still with 4 up. They kept getting knocked, but with their 2-2 play, kept getting their revives, and so they themselves are in a good spot as well.
Ghost Gaming and Lazarus staring at each other using the ridge lines for cover. They're, again, all these teams, United as well as BMG and K-Mind, are all outside the zone. Balak is playing that cleanup crew on the edge of the zone, looking to see if anyone's going to sneak in from behind. I imagine Balak is going to be looking to clean up whoever is up on top of this ridge line, but United, even though they've been using their time and not moving too far, the circle is now closing. It's going to force them further to the west, and that means they're might potentially be in line of sight to Lazarus very soon.
Ooh, Pistol, I don't think he spotted Carbon, but he's going to prep the fishing nade anyway, just in case someone's on the opposite side. They know someone is right. Yeah, oh yeah. You can just see how far that nade ended up falling. Was not the intended target. Carbon slowly crawling around.
Circle's there. It's time to move. BMG's outside the zone, as is K-Mind. He's going to have to try and play this as slowly as he can. K-Mind, the last man standing. He's got the lion's share of the points for Cloud9, and he's looking behind him as well. Is there anyone coming from above or below? Balak has moved out from the cleanup position and has rejoined his squad, so it's Lazarus and Ghost, and whoever's going to survive on the southern side. United, I guess I gotta say, it's the right move. They've moved away from the cliffside and they're headed right towards Relo, and they have to be mindful of snakes. Rel's gonna hear those footsteps. He looks that way, and here they come. Pistola time is ready, and they're gonna get the shots, and very quickly, there goes Rello, and now E United's cleared themselves out a ton of space on the southern side.
Yeah, they did a good job pulling away from this snake pocket, essentially, is what's happening on this eastern side.
I love me some snake pocket.
Is that a new little microwavable snack?
Yep. So for Lazarus, looking at Ghost Gaming across the way, and they're looking up on the cliff side as well. And now for Taylor J, he's way out in front, dead center, and he's got that bolt action rifle, and he's looking right at Lazarus, who's looking right at him, and Lazarus is being forced out of cover and right into the sights of E United. A lot of damage coming their way. Ghost has not been able to make a move just yet. I think they've got line of sight issues, but BMG, and look at Kmine, he's still sitting there.
Ghosts actually have cover issues. There's not a lot in front of them. It's a big, giant hilltop with open ground.
Baby.
Look at that K-Mine. Open shot potentially onto these Ghost players if he decides to take it. But he doesn't want to go loud because he knows Blue Martini are right above him.
He can't, and K-Mine is kind of handcuffed here. He could potentially get another point. He's so good at it. Maybe looking to do a kill steal here if Carbon can get it down onto Ghost Gaming. That's Drassel. K-Mine going to look to try and steal this any moment he can. There's the Cloud9 shots, and yes, he will go for the steal. K-Mine will steal another point in the late game, and a quick headshot. Oh my God, that's actually Carbon going down to McCoy. Oh my goodness, that was so close.
He knew the push from Blue Martini was going to come out once he stole the kill and gave position away and made them angry at him, and so he punishes that. Jason's going to have to go for the revive, but the Blues coming in, and K-Mine has to heal himself as well.
Right
This is not good.
This is death for Kmine if he can't get out of this bind. BMG is now in a rough spot. Low health for Jason. Kmine is stuck there. He's getting peppered apart. One more placement, and he's not going to get it. Kmine cannot do magic once again. And Jason's down, and oh boy, in the animation? No, he won't make it regardless. And now it's E United, Lazarus, and Ghost in a three-way fight to finish this game. Lazarus is low health and now down a man as Alo is finished.
Oh yeah, Lazarus in a potentially good position, but they took too many casualties while trying to get into the circle. Another one goes down. It's not good for them. United's still 4 up. They're in prime position to take this, but Ghosts also have 3 themselves, 6 kills in their pocket already. The line is like McCoy. Did he spot the player?
E United's just going for the finish onto Purdy Curdy. They're looking to molly him out. Can't find it just yet, so Purdy's just trying to live a little bit longer. That looks like a ton of utility out for Ghost. They've got to make their stand, but E United has got this game by the throat. They have the center position. They've got 4 strong. They've got the flanks covered. Taylor J is a little bit low on health. I got to wonder what his meds are like right now. It looks like he might try and finish a first aid, maybe a bandage. Yes, indeed, the full first aid will come out, and they've got this game almost sewn up, Cameron.
They should if they land the shots, but look at all the smoke that Ghosts have used. Ghosts are no strangers to smokes.
They haven't moved at all.
Yeah, they're trying to find an opening. There's hardly any cover inside this circle. Trying to get as center as possible because this is the final one. But E United, through all that chaos earlier, up from the southern side, have gotten the dead center.
Gonna find Curdy. There it is. And that is a guaranteed second place finish for Ghost. But they've got the high side, and it's going to be Stab defending. The new player on E United gets Shrimsy down. Another one there from Pistola time. Now Ghost on the ropes. They're looking at a second place finish. E United swarming, and they will take him down. E United secures a victory here in game number 3.
Ghost, a good use of utility to try and get themselves center, but it was too little too late, and E United, as you said, swarmed up with all 4 remaining up until the very end with a total of, quick maths, 12 kills.
I didn't see the total either. So
12 kills, it's 12, trust me on this, it's 12 kills.
Got it. Well, another nice game from E United. They had struggles in the rotations in the first game on Miramar, and they come back and win the second. E United has come out with their new roster, their new replacement player and staff, and have shown this lobby that they are not messing around.
Yeah, they opened it up with third partying, as was their MO during the qualifiers, very beginning in preseason, and they're going back into that. They got the nice shots. We know that those players can aim and they can shoot. It's the leadership brought in by Stab and the full collective unit working together under the game plan that is getting them these victories. It's their second victory so far. We've only played 7 games.
Yeah, it's been a really nice effort from this squad. Ghost Gaming, they had the utility down. I just don't think they had the time or the space to make anything happen. United's positioning there was just so strong.
Yeah, I feel like Ghost got hampered by K-Mine and Blue Martini Gaming. That angle on the top on the eastern side was putting more pressure on Ghost than on E United. And so it was that distraction that allowed E United to get the priority into the center position. which puts so much extra pressure on Ghost at the end. Ghost needed to find those opening shots, but with the amount of utility that they lose to get into the circle, there wasn't a lot of vision to get those opening frags.
And you got to understand, it's so difficult to avoid any of these shots. I mean, a 4-strong E United, it doesn't matter how much utility you have. You either get an opening down and try and capitalize on that, or you're going to go down one at a time, just as we saw there. But I got to say, what an effort from K-Mind once again.
Yeah.
He always looks to make that smart play. Stealing that kill, he was just waiting for it. And he doesn't get the placement points that would have come along with it, but he stayed alive long enough to get another top 5 finish and a lot of kills as well.
1 point may only be 1 point, but it's more than 0 points, and they add up over the course of all these games. So every single point that you can get is important. Unfortunately, his down on a carbon was stolen away by, I believe, Stab, but he at least got that initial kill steal to just pad those the points for the game.
What an effort! But all the glory, I should say, goes to E United in their second victory. They're standing by with Rachel.
All right, guys, I'm down here with Stab. We're talking to United again today because you guys cleaned it up once again. Now, the 2 games before this, you didn't have quite as good a performance. This one really went your way.
Yeah, this game was very well. It was very good compared to the other 2. The other 2 games we got camped, I would say. We pretty much got camped, which obviously it sucks when it happens, but it happens sometimes. So you just gotta play through it and just reset for the next game.
So is that more of a positioning error? Is that more of a communication error in those first 2 games?
I think it was more just something we didn't account for. We didn't really think that somebody was gonna camp the places they did camp us. So that's just what happened.
Well, it happens, but that's why we play a bunch of games here at NPL, because we do want our excellent players to rise to the top. Now, here you are once again at the top. This was a clean game. You guys kept 4 alive till the very end, and then we saw some really daring spreads. You guys sent Taylor J all the way out in front. Talk to me a little bit about that.
So we just basically wanted to establish center control, so Ghost couldn't push up on us. They did try, but we managed to hold them, which was really good. Yeah, and we just wanted to hold everything and just make sure that we basically had the game in our hand and just didn't throw it away.
Well, talk to me a little bit about communicating with your team. We had you on the desk earlier on to open up the show. We got a little bit of insight into how you're getting along on the new roster. But tell me, now that you sat down, you've played some games here on stage with them, do you feel like you're really settling into your roles, and what are those roles?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Taylor is very frag heavy. He's really good. His aim is really good. Pistola is the guy that basically does all of our rotations and who is our IGL, as it would be called. And I'm just really there to help Pistola and make those decisive calls and help him figure out what's the best call to do, or just everything like that. Just help the team elevate to a higher level.
Well, when we talked to them yesterday, they said that your entry into the roster inspired the team to fight a little harder, to clean up their act a bit more, and we can say that it's really paid off. We're going to give it back to the casters today. We've got 1 more game of PUBG left.
Well, it looks like Stab is the Tyrion to Pistola's Daenerys here, as he seems to come in this sort of advisory role that's helped United get their feet back under them, and they're doing it in a fabulous way.
I don't get that reference. What is that from a show? Or?
I think it's from Avengers.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Is it safe to talk about that yet? I don't know. I got ripped apart on Twitter for just making a comment about some I don't know, military tactics that happen inside the round. Or that episode. I said round. What am I? I've just got too much PUBG on
that was a great episode of PUBG. E United comes out on top, absolutely drops down their opponents. Ghost, there's a lot of references we could actually tie this in. I'm not going to. Okay. Ghost, they performed well, couldn't pull it off there at the end. E United kept 4 alive, 12 kills. But for me, another big champion out of this one was Cloud9. 8 kills. Yeah. Didn't get the circle really, but put up some good numbers and played very, very well.
Look, when you're looking at, obviously we're talking a little bit about the game here, but when you look at the overall picture of the 3 games for today, Ghost Gaming came into today in 14th place. They've now had 2 games where they finished second. Obviously, you'd love to have a first place finish out of that, but that's still a dramatic improvement. Meanwhile, C9 has also been performing really well. That's a 5th place and a 4th place back-to-back on Miramar. So great games for them today as well. It's not always about who wins, but it's also about who can be the most consistent, as player one taught us in the day one.
You talked about their placement mistake. Let's take a look at how they placed in that match. Cloud9 went out in 5th place, but I think, they end up in 3rd because kills matter.
So with this, you can see United 22 points. Ghost Gaming coming in second with those 12 points. Gotta give a shout out to my son Dras for getting that second place position again. We got Cloud9 coming in 3rd. Lazarus, we keep seeing these teams constantly reappearing in the top 4 to 5, but Rumblers make an appearance right there in that 5th place spot.
You just slipped in the Drassel son. You didn't even like. No, hashtag Drassel dad, like for real though.
It's probably the biggest running meme that I have seen with the NPL so far. Is every time I'm on camera, it's like, is that Drassel's dad?
It's okay. If we were in EU, you'd see pictures of me, young me, next to Hexetti over and over again like we did earlier. But here we go, check in on the boys from Gus. Again, great day for them coming out so far. McCoy is very shocked to see himself on camera. We usually only put players that are performing well on camera. So here you are today. You're there. Good job.
All right, over rankings for Tilt back into match 3. Here's our overall phase 2 overall rankings. United at the top with a nice little lead, Tempo right behind. A lot of folks working to catch up to him. Like Cameron said with his exceptional math, a point is a point, and 1 point is more than 0 points.
It's true.
So, I mean, that's the difference between 2nd and 4th, right? The 1 point.
Well, I mean, look, if we're being real, the difference between 1st place and all the way down to 12th, really, it's not super huge. It's something that can be surmounted here in one day. So, we're seeing the typical log jam we see kind of in the middle.
It's not about the size of the lead, it's how you handle it and make it work for you. Match 4, featured teams, Space Station Gaming, Ghost Tempo, Lazarus. Match, we're talking about these guys.
All right, Space Station Gaming, I talked about a second ago, old wives in debate. They've had a couple of flashes of what we used to see from them, but not quite as consistent as we saw from them in the past. Ghost Gaming is on a huge upsurge right now. We're seeing them start to perform much more regular. Look at those stats. Kills 7th. Back behind that in 5th as far as damage goes. Tempo Storm. What do I need to say? If you don't know who Tempo Storm is at this point, you haven't been watching any NPL. And Lazarus, old shoot to kill. Damage and kills both in 3rd.
Yeah, it's really interesting, though, to see that Tempo is actually in 6th place in damage. Meanwhile, SSG in 2nd. Just want to see the placement points start coming out for the squad in yellow there. But as you said, Ghost Gaming having a great day. Tempo as well. We got one more on our anvil, though, before we call it a day.
Not a surprise to these 4 teams. Remember, if you want to see different teams, get involved, get online, take your vote. Real quick, 1 sentence, quick take matchup. What do you want to see on the last Durango match?
Ghost Game has gotten close so many times. I want to see them get the round victory.
Boro?
A normal circle.
A normal circle. Well, I can't wait to see what we've got in store from our casting teams, the legends, WTF Moses and Camedy.
Thank you so much, Toffees. Yes, indeed. We are back on Erangel, and we are going from south to north. You haven't seen it yet, but you will soon.
Spoiler.
Spoiler on the...
You know,
they don't even have their headsets on. There's massive spoilers here.
I know the internet's all like, oh, don't spoil anything, so sorry.
Ramadan tiba setelah harian DJ Opus sayangan orang-orang pecinta DJ Opus. Ini kita happy bawa digeleng-geleng. Ramadan tiba setelah harian DJ Opus sayangan orang-orang pecinta DJ Opus. Ini kita happy bawa digeleng-geleng. Ramadan tiba. Ramadan tiba, marhaban ya Ramadan, ya Ramadan, ya Ramadan tiba, marhaban ya dalam bersaur ada pahala, dalam berbuat yang indah, menahan diri, menahan lidah, menjaga hati, menjaga banyak amal hati-hatinya, makanya datang berlipat ganda, berlomba-lomba untuk ibadah, semoga hati surga I came in like a rainbow. I came in like a rainbow. I came in like a rainbow. I came in like a I came in like a rainbow. I came in like a I came in like a Hands up everybody to the party tonight. Performance by DJ Opus Remix. Ku tak bahagia melihat kau bahagia dengannya. Aku terluka, tak bisa dapatkan kau sepenuhnya. Aku terluka melihat kau bersama. Ku tak bahagia melihat kau
bahagia. Harusnya aku yang di sana mendampingimu dan bukan dia. Harusnya aku yang kau cinta dan bukan dia. Harusnya kau tahu bahwa cintaku lebih darinya. Harusnya yang kau pilih bukan dia.
Hands up everybody to the party tonight. Performance by DJ Opus Remix.
Melihat kau bahagia menusuk dari belakang. DJ Opus melihat kau bahagia menusuk dari belakang. DJ Opus
Performance by DJ Opus Remix.
bahagia melihat kau bahagia dengannya. Aku terluka, tak bisa dapatkan kau sepenuhnya. Aku terluka melihat kau bersama. Ku tak bahagia melihat kau bahagia. Harusnya aku yang di sana mendampingimu dan bukan dia. Harusnya aku yang kau cinta dan bukan dia. Harusnya kau tahu bahwa cintaku lebih darinya.
Indonesia.
Riko Hansun Wis duwe wong dia. Kapan rasane ati sing pisan duweni. Riko Hansun temani, Riko Hansun lati, wis ono runyati. Kapan rasane ati sing pisan duweni. Riko Hansun temani, Riko Hansun lati, wis ono runyati. Ono isi wis akhire disasimo nyawang, kadung mulo wis akhire lilo iso lilo. RBS.